what you want.
Welcome back, No
You
Means
getting what
Nerds.
you
No Means Nobodies.
need.
No Means No Nicks. To the No Means Nothing, No Means No Thing podcast. The podcast where three absolute, total fucking idiots do their very, very best to figure out the greatest No Means No song of all time. Spoilers, there isn't one. I'm one of your hosts, Jordan.
I'm Matthew. Hello.
I'm your favorite one, Michelle.
That's true. And this week, I'm very, very happy to announce that we are joined by a very, very special guest from the incredible distance of probably 15 feet away from me in his room, my son, Parker Flato. Hey, Parker.
Yeah.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. I'm stoked to have you on the podcast. As a matter of fact, you were my podcast partner well before these two idiots, back when we did our other podcast, Indie Bandwidth. Right?
I
Which is
remember
like
hearing those.
6 years ago now or
Oh,
something?
God, or longer.
5 or
Man,
6?
It's fucking crazy. And we did, I think the only No Means No one we ended up covering
Did
was
0 plus 2.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that was it.
Yeah, we intended to do others, but we just sort of flamed out. Things got crazy. So in any event, it's really fucking good to have you on. Stoked to do this. These are some great songs. I know there's at least one of song on this in this docket that's one of your favorites. So I'm excited to see what you have to say about it. But first, we have to subject you to one of our segments. Before we do that, I guess I'll just give my blanket. I'm not going to go too far into it. My blanket apology for how long it's been. I think it's been longer than it has been for a very, very long time. Months crawl by.
God,
But anyway,
has it?
that's been a
Oh.
long time, really long time.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyway,
I had the crud, man.
well, you had
Two
the
of us
crud.
have had COVID.
There's been deaths and cancers and all sorts of crazy shit, but everyone's good. We're all fine now. We're making our way in the world today.
Better
Takes
knock some
everything
fucking
you've got.
wood.
Knock wood everywhere. So anyway, I'm not going to apologize anymore. Every time we do this, all you guys
Yeah,
get like,
right.
you don't have to
Yeah.
apologize.
No,
We don't
I
care.
know.
It's fine. So I'm going to take you at your word, and we're just going to do an episode. But anyway, I am drinking tonight. I'm very excited. I have a brand new whiskey that I got special for this because I ran out of the
Nice.
other shit. It's called Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey.
Ew.
And it has like a fine aftertaste of peanut butter. I have not tried it yet. So I'm going to say it doesn't really have peanut butter in it. This is a gimmicky. Let me see. We'll smell. I haven't sipped it yet. Oh, that's delicious.
Come on.
Holy shit.
But is it
No.
allergy safe?
For me, yes. But probably not your average bear who would be choking with the anaphylactic shock right now. So that's fucking great. I mean, will I ever get it again? No. But it's a good novelty whiskey, and I'm going to drink the shit out of it. So wonderful. So Parker, we're going to pass it to you. What do you got tonight?
All right, I got some Pepsi.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Full sugar?
Yes.
Real
Pepsi.
sugar. No, real
Real
sugar.
sugar.
Oh, right. Yeah, the real
specifically.
sugar. Right.
We only
Named
get the real
after a
sugar.
digestive enzyme.
That's right.
Pepsi.
Like it- Like what
delicious.
happens to your teeth when you drop them in Pepsi or Coke. They just
Right.
dissolve.
Right.
All right. Michelle, how about you? What do you got for us?
I'm having the seventh wonder of the world
Yes.
with my seventh scent. How many senses do you have? Anyway.
Well, 7 for the Guinness. Oh, that's nice. That's a good one.
Parker, you are how old?
19.
19. So you're if you wanted to, you're legal where I'm sitting.
That's right. Up in the Canada world.
oh.
Up in them Canada worlds.
Yeah.
Come on, Jordan. Go give him a. No. Just kidding.
I totally would. Parker's not one for drinking.
Nah.
Good.
Yeah.
Keep it that way.
All right, Matthew, what monstrosity have you prepared for us this evening?
Oh, this is pretty nice actually. I've been really into Korean food lately, so I got some soju.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's that? Is it a?
It's kind of like
Sake kind of thing?
It's like sake but stronger. Or
Yeah,
it's very
it looks
similar,
like
yeah.
sake.
Yeah. So it's from it's Halasan, which is a volcano on Jeju Island, which is sort of like the resort island. It's off the little south of the Korean Peninsula, and I think has the world's busiest airport because every fucking person in Korea goes there for holidays.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Is that alcoholic or is that a soda?
yeah. No.
Or it's no. You said it was a
So
soda.
21%.
Sweet.
Oh holy shit!
That's woof. We've only got
But,
one teetotaler on the podcast today then. All right.
I do have this the little traditional
Oh, it's so cute.
cup to drink it out of.
I
which
wanna
I
put-
man.
I wanna put
found
little
in my
dice
yard.
inside of it.
It had
Found in
soy-
your yard. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Something my late father-in-law probably stumbled upon, and he was often not allowed to bring random found things into the house, so
we
we just
buried it.
Shuck it in the yard.
Okay.
Hoard.
Or he threw it out in
Oh.
the yard.
Man,
It's actually a pretty little thing. Pretty
It
little
is
beautiful.
cool.
cup.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is cool.
And at 21%, that's about all you need is that little cup worth.
Yeah. It's kind of like 3 beers worth.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Hey, before we get started with our thing, can I be an asshole for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
You don't normally ask.
Well,
before
okay,
you're an
right.
asshole.
Okay. Today's a very special day.
Okay.
Would you like to see what I got today?
Oh, I would very much.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you. God damn it.
Oh, yeah. No, fuck me, because look, I gave my OG away.
I know you did. You deserve this.
And I
You
know I
deserve
tell
this.
everybody that, but that was like
I know.
a lot
That's
of
a big
money,
deal.
and it was for somebody who was going to play it.
Michelle is holding up a
I'm holding
particular
up a square
12-inch by 12-inch parcel
From
very
Alternative
mysterious
Tentacles,
what
I'm
might be
guessing.
inside.
And I
Now,
was saving to open it now.
Which pressing did you get? Is this black, red,
I just
splatter?
got the regular black one.
The regular
so
black?
that's good. That red splatter looks good, though, isn't it?
It does. Oh,
there
look
it
at
is.
that.
Jesus Christ.
And like we talked about in the podcast, this one ends as it properly should at all lies. There's no
Look at that.
extra
There's my
songs on that
receipt.
fucker.
Thank you for your order
There
postcard.
you go.
This is
Good
a
for
regular
you.
black one. Look
Well,
at that.
I'm not even going to be mad. That's awesome.
Now, no, don't be mad because
No, I'm not. It's awesome.
You know, I think it.
Now
does
it goes
not-
back in the frame, right?
I'm gonna put it back up on the wall.
Back
Yeah,
on
I
the
want to
wall.
look at it. I want to look at it.
Beautiful.
And yeah, there's the Rob blob everybody's talking about.
Yep. Huh,
There's
interesting.
this blob next to
Yeah.
Rob.
Blob next to Rob. And I mean, we saw these when we saw the other thing I want to talk about before we talk to Parker a little bit about his origin story. All of us by now have had the absolute, and then Parker included, have had the absolute privilege of seeing fucking Dead Bob live.
Oh yeah.
Now this first tour
Fantastic.
is complete and
Mm-hmm.
utterly fantastic. And good news for you people on the East Coast, people in Europe. I have it under good. I've heard the good word that all that shit is pretty much wrapped up, and all
That's
you
not the
guys are
peanut
going to
butter
get to see
talking?
them. No, so I believe that all things being equal, who knows what the fuck can happen, but I believe all of you, with maybe a slight bit of effort, are going to get to see that band. But holy fucking
They're
shitballs!
coming around.
I mean, I loved the nostalgia kick, of course, of seeing the No Means No songs. Like we got to see Slowly Melting, which was fucking
Mhm.
incredible. I also got to see Metronome at the other, because I saw them twice. But and that was great to see all the olds go nuts for that kind of shit. But Dead Bob, in their own right, all those musicians are incredible.
Oh
and
my
what I'm
God.
hoping,
Top
what I'm
shelf.
hoping are on the next couple of albums, because I know he's got one is ready to drop almost. And the
They'll
next
flex a
one is
little
ready.
more.
Well, I'm hoping he'll get, now that they'll actually record as a band and not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
John recording with a little
good
help
point.
and then getting tour backup. Like they're a real band now. I want them
Yeah.
all, like I want their personalities on that album.
Right.
I think they've got these guys have a bright future. These kids,
Yeah.
these Dead Bob kids.
And
Anyway.
everybody's fallen in love with Ford. I love that.
Ford and I mean, Christy, are you kidding me? Talk about stage presence.
Oh my
Jesus
He's a
God, I
face melter.
Christ.
And
She's
Ford's
incredible.
doing exercises.
Ford, when we saw him,
Did he
Parker,
do
do you
that?
remember Ford was like he was about to cut a bitch. There was this guy who kept blowing the smoke machine, and he was just like, "You fucking stop! Shut that up!" He was like jumping over, like ready to beat the
Oh
fuck
my
out of this guy.
God.
And we had Larry Boothroyd from Victim Families there.
Larry.
He finally got back there and was like telling the guy, like, "Just cut the smoke machine! Stop it! Stop it!"
Holy
So
shit.
yeah, there was almost a brawl in this little like mixed club / taqueria we were in.
It was the weirdest venue for Dead Bob.
So
It
weird.
was so strange.
It was great. Don't get me wrong, because like it was sparsely attended, but everybody that was there was a fanatic.
Yeah, they
which
were
was great.
into it, right?
And so I think the band was really into it, and of course we got to meet everybody because it was such a small venue. So it's fucking great.
But you could eat a taco while you were.
Yeah, there was a whole taqueria. Like you could get a whole, like they had everything.
Oh, that's crazy.
They had all the shit. It was weird.
Well, at least
Very
the
weird.
band got to eat well. That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so Parker, we have guests. When we have guests on, we usually like to ask them a couple questions. One would be, what's your No Means No origin story? Like I don't know.
Yeah, like, well, it started before I can remember, I don't know. Yeah, like I've been aware of them to some extent, and been listening to their music and enjoying their music for as long as I can remember. Like when I was like a really little kid, I remember like Till I Die was my favorite song when I was like
Yep.
5, I think.
Yep.
Really loved that track.
Black is
Um,
White was one of your other no, Something Light Against Something Dark was one of your other favorite
which
ones.
I feel
it's
like
a great
is
one.
is like young enough that like I have a lot of that song just like in my bones, but I was too young to have conscious. I don't remember that being a song that I
You
liked
heard
as a
it
kid,
in the
even
womb,
though
probably.
it's
You
like-
wrote it when you were in preschool at MBT. You wrote it on. You're like, "What's your favorite song?" And you wrote "Something Dark Against Something Light." I'm like, I hope they look this shit up. Anyway,
That's
sorry.
great.
But then like I don't know. I did not continue to be into them until I was like a teenager. I remember the thing that like I was probably like 13, I want to say. I got like a little like an MP3 player.
Yeah.
And just loaded up onto it all the stuff we had on iTunes, including some like no means no stuff. And I think the thing was like I was listening to wait, hold on. Trying to remember the order from memory. Is it Tulips, Rags and Bones, and Ono Bruno?
Yes.
Is that the order?
Yes, I believe so. That's the order it goes
like,
in.
Because those were 3 songs that you played a lot for me when I was a kid. Because like they're fun punk songs that are relatively appropriate for a kid.
It is.
some
It is
extent.
in the order.
Yep. Yep.
You got it.
Yeah. But I
Did
was
not play
listening
Big
to
Dick.
Oh well.
listening to those songs and then listening to All Lies. That was the thing.
Ah.
All Lies was the song that I was listening to those 3 songs for like mostly nostalgia, and then playing All Lies, which I don't think I'd heard before, and it just completely blew my mind. Like I had never up to that point heard a song that like was that like resonant emotionally.
Wow.
That would like hit me that hard. Was that like
Yeah.
I don't know, big and like yeah.
That's cool. I don't think I've actually heard that from you before. That like one of the songs that hit you that hard first was one I never introduced you to, right? Like I never made you listen to that one. Yeah, so that's cool.
Made you.
Which is like how like because I think my next thing that like was when I started to like fall in love with the band more broadly was listening to a lot of like Mr. Happy stuff. I remember specifically songs like Machine and Cat Sex and Nazis were 2 of the songs that I got really really into like or like at that time. And like it was again songs that like I hadn't heard before. I think part of the reason why like a song like The River, well, I fucking love that song and it's a masterpiece. Like it'll never be like in my top 5, mostly because I had years of you priming it for me before I actually like got to hear it for myself.
Yeah, I ruined it.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you got to have your own favorites, which if you were to have
And I do love that
favorites-
song.
No, yeah. I mean, we talk about that all the time. It's like all the songs are fucking great, right? Like put above other bands. Even your least favorite No Means No is usually equal to other bands. So what are some of your favorite songs though, other than anything we might hear tonight?
Well, yeah. One of the songs tonight is my all-time favorite, but like All Lies, like I just mentioned, like A Machine again, Lost is probably one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, good boy.
Good call.
Now like weirdly blanking.
That's the way it goes.
Yep, that's how it happens. Feel free to fuck out of the question. It's fine.
No, because I definitely have a few.
Do you know which album it's off of?
No, I'm trying to like go across the entire catalog in my head, like, pulling from every album at the same time.
Yeah, that happens.
Does
to
it
me
help
every
to
time.
think of favorite album?
No, because that's Mr. Happy, and most of the songs off there are like up there for me. World Wasn't Built in a Day is probably another song I really love.
Mm-hmm.
And That Sad is a song that's like I love more and more the more I listen to it.
Right?
That's a track
Whoa.
that I've
Yeah,
really
we had the
gotten
same
into.
reaction. Like that's
Yeah.
one's like the more I listen to it, I'm like, this is a fucking genius song.
Yeah.
God damn. Yeah. I think we just recovered that one like a couple episodes ago, actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
We Are the Chopped, maybe actually.
Nice.
That's a song that I don't know.
They played that.
hits in a specific way that I really
They played that
enjoy.
right at the
Yeah.
when we saw them. Yeah, they played
which was
Chopped.
so fun.
And
I think
if
there was
I
like I did
That's
like a
surprising.
trumpet solo.
I didn't
during
get
it,
to
which
see
which
that.
was incredible.
Yeah, they added it in.
was
And
so
if
good.
if I'm not mistaken, podcast fellows, we made that petition to John. Like when we covered that song, we're like, this is a song that Dead Bob should cover. And we texted him, we chatted
Yeah,
and said,
that's
like,
right.
you guys should do You Are the Chopped. So I think we're responsible for getting
I
that.
don't think it was We Are the Chopped, wasn't it?
I'm
that-
almost 100,000% positive it was We Are the Chopped.
Oh, if I mentioned it before, but I should mention again, I've talked about my favorite songs. Cat Sex and Nazis is probably my number 2. I adore that song. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Nice.
Um,
So you've already kind of actually hit on this, but with the other question we ask guests is what No Means No means to you, like in terms of other music you listen to or how it's shaped your, your sense of music. What do they mean to you, and whatever that question means?
I think one of the things in relation to other music is that like No Means No has, excuse me.
It's a Pepsi.
Yeah, lots of carbonated drinks in front of me. They've mostly been like my entry into more hardcore music. Like, I'm not into that many hardcore bands, but No Means No was the first one that I was able to get into, and has been like allowed me to get into a lot more like intense music and stuff.
Yeah.
They're also just in all the music I've listened to, like No Means No is a very specific vibe and a very specific like tone that I haven't found anywhere else.
Right.
Like the combination of like their, the musical interest with like the lyrical stuff creates something that just I haven't found anywhere else. It's really unique.
And you might not.
Earnest and still humorous and meaningful.
Yeah.
It's like this bizarre combination.
Yeah. Well, good, man. That's fucking great. So let's dive into this shit then. Let's start our round one. We're gonna pit 2 songs against each other, one of which is one of the aforementioned yet unmentioned as of yet favorites of Parker here. So tonight our first round duo is Heaven is the Dust Beneath My Shoes off of All Roads Lead to Ausfahrt 2006. Now this one won against So Low in episode 12. That was unanimous, and if I might say so, a pretty easy poll. So I'm not too surprised on that. I would imagine we'd all vote the same. Matthew, you'd go the same way on that vote this time. I like So Low, but I think I would 100 times still do that. So anyway, Heaven is the Dust is going up against Rise off of Would We Be Alive, 1996. Rise went up against I'm Doing Well and won in episode 15 of the podcast, and that was also unanimous. So a couple of unanimous kind of odd polls that both of these songs got, and this is
Rise again. It's sort of against a Mr. Wrong song, really. It's
exactly.
Not a difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's been a long time.
So we're gonna let Matthew opine about these 2 songs, but before they do that, I'm gonna leave myself a little space so that I can clip you together a couple of these masterpieces while I get the grid out from between my toes.
A wise man said that you can't step into the same stream twice. But I find that wet feet soon get caked with sand and grit. That's very unpleasant, especially between the toes. So when I go for a stroll, I stay on the sidewalk. And I always wear a pair of nice, warm boots.
let Matthew go first before we invite our guest to speak. So Matthew, first topic, first round.
Yeah, pretty different songs, but then thematically they have some similarities just because they're about exaltation, sin. Um, I don't know. I feel like Heaven is the Dust Beneath Shoes is really sort of the ineffable versus really the mundane and petty, and Rise is, they're just eternally separate in some way, but in Rise it's sort of similar in that you'll never actually pull yourself out of the muck, or even if you do pull yourself up, you're still in the muck. Um, um, in terms of the songwriting, they're again quite different. I would say Heaven is more typically No Means No, just because it's more structured. It has kind of chapters and parts and everything like that. Whereas Rise is a really great song, but a little more consistent, I guess, sort of consistent through in terms of tone, and it's really doomy. It reminds me a lot of like doom metal, and it is kind of its time in a way. I kind of forgot that it was off that EP.
Yeah, Would We Be Alive?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And then there's parts of it that remind me of a lot of other music that I was really into at the time and still into, just kind of forgotten. Some of the guitar work reminds me of Jawbox, which is still one of my favorite bands.
Oh, yeah, if you've mentioned that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So both of the songs really have a pretty epic feel. But Heaven is it's sort of the parts are teased apart a little bit more than Rise. I feel like maybe Heaven has a bit more of Tom's input, and I really like sort of recognizing that. And just because it's a little different, it's the guitar parts and everything kind of aren't something that I would think Rob would do
right
on his own. And I like to hear that. Lyrics are pretty great, like Rise, pretty standard No Means No themes. I like how both of them do that Rob thing where a little bit one word is changed in the same line. So in Heaven it's like toes, soles, shoes, and in Rise it's writhe, fall. It's
fly,
pretty great.
Fly, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very, very kind of structured and consistently structured, so they kind of have that in common. In Heaven, it's like 3 stanzas, 3 choruses, pretty great. And thematically, I love that disconnection. The nice warm boots that are what keep your feet safe from the ground, but it's also what prevents you from becoming exalted, I guess, in a way. Becoming connected with the ineffable and the mundane. It just sort of insulates you from, I guess, exaltation in a way. Performance, really great playing in Rise. Like I don't remember a lot about specific songs, just the way my mind works and how excited I am to just be at a No Means No show. I'm like, I was never like, oh great, they're playing this song. Jordon, you have an incredible memory for that sort of stuff. I wish I did, but I don't. But the live energy for Rise, I kind of wish I'd been sort of, because that was very much of its time.
It was great. It was great.
Good. Performance, Rob in Heaven is like his top level of sardonicism, if that's the noun of sardonic. I suspect that it's because it seems like a crazy person or somebody not quite that maybe it's the same character as Every Day I Start to Ooze.
Yeah, I like that poem.
It's so intense and earnest, but like bug fuck at the same time. It's a great guitar solo in Heaven as well. I really appreciate that, and it's easy to overlook what Tom does. I hate that, but it's just the facts. So it's nice to sort of see that distinguish itself. In terms of lyrics and the music together, I feel like Rise is a super well crafted song. It's kind of got dark parts and then kind of soaring parts. It's like the muck versus the sky. And then in some ways, heaven is similar. There's a epic parts, and then the chorus is sort of about more mundane things. Let's see. I really like the sort of little deedly guitar bits when he's speaking. Yeah. It's sort of like like bugs scurrying under a rock or something like that. Like the mundane little thoughts of like a bog standard human monkey man. Okay, highlights. I really love it. I think my favorite part, and maybe on Ausfart, everything is like that poltergeist vocal effect.
Yes.
Says, nice, warm.
Yes. Totally. Poltergeist. Yes.
Oh yeah,
That's
exactly.
a good word
it's like
for
backward masking almost.
Yeah.
It's the backmasking or something like
Yep.
that. I love it.
So
and then
good.
the bridge after he says boots is like just so fantastic. And I also really like how during the intro to Heaven, it starts off a certain way, and then they just add a voice, like the guitar is doing this and then the bass is doing this. I love the building that they sometimes do. That's fantastic. Favorite bits in Rise, actually the guitar parts. I love the doomy stuff. I mean, it's pretty atypical. I mean, that's for sort of around the second part of what I'm going to talk about, but it is kind of darker and again of its time, but like it sounds like music that I really still dig and dug at the time. That is, I don't associate with Filming Snow very much.
Yeah.
Which is great. And then I love the little sort of radio effect on. So who's on the bottom?
Yeah.
Who's on top? And
That's
can we
John,
guess who
man.
that is? That's John.
That's it. Yeah.
100%.
Bottom.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about that. I'm going to try to keep it concise because we've got so many people to blather.
Sounds
tonight.
good. All right, we're passing the baton to Parker. What do you think?
All right. So like for like getting into the songs, I feel like there's like no better place for it at the beginning. I have also here transcribed the alternate verses for Heaven, which when in the videos they've done live, they actually have completely different for all of the verses when they play it live. There's a couple different versions of it, and so I have here kind of like there's like some small like sort of seemed like improv changes on the words, but like these are like mostly the sort of the consistent elements of the different verses and stuff.
Jordan, your son is nerding even harder than you. Good job.
I know, man. I know.
He's done his homework. All right.
So like the first verse is the other day my friends got together and they decided to throw a political focus group, but they said I couldn't join because my views were too conservative and reactionary. I was very upset, I was very hurt, but then I thought, I have nothing against liberals, but they really are full of shit.
Did you really say that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
Robert.
Says the quiet part out loud.
Oh, Robert.
Yeah. The second verse, I actually kind of prefer to the album version, I think. It's, you were sobbing quietly when I fell asleep last night, but I had wonderful dreams, dreams of paradise, dreams of great love. I dreamt that I had solved all human problems and that world peace was at hand. And then I woke up and my pillow was gone.
Holy hell.
Oh, that's so great.
Especially because it like harks back to that old jaw. I dreamt about I was eating a giant marshmallow and I woke
And
up.
my pillow was gone. Yeah, exactly. Like he sets up the joke in a totally different way. Oh, shit. Those are brilliant.
Oh, I just got that joke. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So the third one is a well-known philosopher once said, I think, therefore I am. But when I think, it's like great birds of prey circling over a dead carcass. So when I start thinking too much, I take a Valium and I go to bed. And I always wear a pair of nice, warm pajamas.
This is insane. This is really
so
like
great.
something they've said before.
Yeah,
and
live
and
shows.
there are
Holy
multiple
shit.
different concerts with these same lyrics, which is the thing that really gets
Oh
me.
my
That's so
God.
great. That's so great.
So they did those lyrics at a bunch of different shows. Did you find any other? It seems like something like it's like would slot different rantings into.
Swarm pajamas.
There's like these are like the there's like slight changes on like one line or the words, but the overall meaning stays the same between these ones. I've only found 2 videos with these lyrics. The rest seem to be from a bit later and have the ones on the album.
Interesting.
But they're all from all the concerts that I found for of this song say 2006. So I don't know.
Holy shit.
That's
Wow.
really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That is cool.
Especially, yeah, because 2006 is when Asphalt came out.
Yep.
That's when we
So
saw
they're
them, Matthew.
take-
So we
take-
probably saw some of that.
Taking the piss like, right,
Yeah.
right from the start.
Yeah.
If it wasn't clear from that work, "Heaven Is the Dust" is my favorite No Means No song, and also
Oh,
probably
hey.
my favorite song of all time. It's either that or "Grounded" by Pavement. Would be that one. I also do very much enjoy "Rise," though obviously less. I'm going to look remembering what the fucking format is because it's.
Well,
Don't
so-
worry, I don't
lost
remember
in
it
the
ever.
You don't have to
Parker,
worry about it.
seriously.
Just
I
talk
I shit
about
the bed all the time.
just talk
Yeah.
about the 2 songs. That's all you got to
Yeah.
do. Fuck
Yeah,
the
yeah.
format.
Yeah. Fuck the format.
The "Heaven Is the Dust" is I don't know. It's weird. It's a song that like the more I've listened to it, like it's the drums. Like that's the entirety of the song for me, honestly. Like it's no one's no generally. This is one of the things I love about the band is the drums carry so much musical information.
Yeah,
Not
they
like
do.
just in keeping the beat, but also like defining how the other instruments are heard as well.
Yeah, totally.
And that's very, very true of "Heaven Is the Dust." Like you have that thing in the like it starts just with the drums in the intro, and then you have like, you know, at the end of sort of that like phrase, like the sort of muted strumming thing from the guitar and bass that also mirrors the drums. Let's see where figure out what to go on from that. I guess like the main thing that interests me about the song that I think is so great about it is the way all of the instruments like work together. So like to go first in the verses, like, you know, you have that sort of like that like guitar melody, that like, you know, light thing, with the sort of lighter, lots of like hi-hat stuff on the drums.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Which like to me serves as mainly like the vocals are purely spoken. They're melodically spoken, but they're spoken, and so that sort of background is mainly just there to provide a framework and momentum. It isn't actually doing that much musically, which feels like like an intentional thing. Which is sort of an interesting thing, like going like forward in the song, of how much there are these moments of punctuation, that even when there is stuff musically happening, it's not the focus. Like to jump ahead to the song, so there's in the chorus, there's like sort of 2 main sections of the chorus, with like the first like section where the guitar is playing a melody and you have the bass doing its repeating riff with the drums kind of keeping a consistent beat, and then the guitar like is playing chords, and so's the bass, and in that section you have the drums mostly just playing fills that don't keep a consistent sense of rhythm, but then you have that kick drum coming in on every chord and like word, and all of that's happening at the same time. And so like every like, but like it's so that every word of that last section of the chorus is just like beaten into you by the like the drums and the guitar all just working together as like the same thing, and then between those beats, in between those moments, it's just drum fills and stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
it's crazy. It's awesome.
which I guess like going over to Rise, it's sort of a weird thing, because that song doesn't have, it's so much more traditional of a song in terms of its arrangement.
Very much so. Yeah.
Like it's just, you know, the drums playing their groove, and then, you know, the guitar and bass, you know, sort of doing their thing for the most part. There are a lot of interesting things it does. I love the chorus in that song so much, specifically for the harmony.
Yep.
There's like what like I'm hearing is like a major seven in that like second line of the chorus that like just hits like a fucking truck every time. And like
major seventh. Oh, baby. That's
like
a good theory.
Which I just love. There's such like a tension with the harmony that the bass can do. But it's also muddy. I don't know if that like resonates. Like there's No Means No is generally so good at distinguishing between the different instruments while also having them work. Which I guess sort of like sidetracking on my mental thing. Another thing that I love about Heaven is the Dust is that everything is really well separated sonically. There's a lot of panning in No Means No's music broadly, and Heaven is the Dust is a great example of that, of like the bass on the right and guitar on the left, with though Heaven's Dust has some interesting things in there. I'm hearing there's some like acoustic guitar in the right channel.
I think I hear that too.
Really cool. But also there's some things that Heaven's Dust specifically does with that, like at the end of each phrase when you have those bass chords, there's also some cymbal hits that are also panned way to the right that sort of like almost mirror it with like the timbre and stuff. That's just really really good. Which is, I don't know, something that I generally love about No Means No is how much effort is put towards that kind of aspect of the production, of like, you know, separating these things and using that to create different musical things that wouldn't be possible otherwise, which is something that Rise kind of doesn't do for me. Like I'm not hearing that much kind of stuff in that respect. It does do some fun things with the production. Like, you know, you Matthew, you mentioned like the like sort of telephone vocals kind of things that are also like get like panned back and forth in interesting ways. Another thing that I really love in that section is I think it's John screaming in the background. That like sounds to me like it's like behind me, which is like a kind of cool effect.
Oh yeah.
Makes you feel a little paranoid.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm getting
no, that's
just speaking out of the void.
No, that's fine. And then just know that we've got a second round, so you can collect your thoughts too. Like we can pass this on to Michelle, and there'll be a second round where we kind of go through it to talk about more stuff. So
absolutely,
yeah, Michelle, why don't we pass the baton to you, and then we'll circle back around.
All right, so it's my time to go.
Yep.
No, Parker, I love how you're talking
a
lot of production stuff, because I'm really into that too, like big time, and the music stuff. So, okay. There are some parts in Heaven that I don't get. I'm not saying I don't like them. I'm saying I don't get them. I do, however, love Rob's tone. And the chorus part of this song, to me anyways, is its strongest part. It's a good, heavy, and uplifting section that makes up for the other stuff in there that doesn't move me too much. On the other hand, I do believe I've seen this several times live, and it was not off-putting at all. Quite the opposite. I think I quite liked it. The verses section kind of, honestly, I don't think I like the verses section. The you know, and I don't know. Am I an asshole?
No,
I don't know.
No, that's just your opinion, man.
You know what they say about opinions.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they did a great job with the mix, though. I really, like Parker was mentioning, how you can hear things from different part that just like composes the song in a really interesting, really cool way instead of just giving it to you all forward. I really think Rob's vocals sound amazing in this. Like just you can hear everything. It sounds so good. John's drum parts during the chorus parts have some great fills, and he really just blooms that section out completely. One of the super cool parts about it is 3/4 of the way through, like you said, Matthew, the nice warm boots part and the backwards echoey vocal bits behind the main lyrics, they're incredibly cool. And whoever thought to do that is just a genius. And I like the instrumental that follows that section too. The sung parts of the song that Rob sings instead of the spoken lines in the verses are really passionate and well sung, and he sounds really good. Okay, so I'm going on to Rise. Who's playing the guitar on this?
I mean,
Who's
Tom, I
playing the
would
guitar?
guess, but I don't
I
know. It's a good
don't
question. He
know.
played it live. I did see them on this tour live, and it was
I
definitely he could play them,
it I don't,
but it's a good
because the
question.
guitar is sick on this.
It is.
Yeah,
It's grindy. It's not Tommy at all.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking. Like
Yeah,
maybe,
it's a good question.
but maybe Rob did. I don't know, or John maybe.
I mean,
John,
it's something in common with Mr. Happy guitars in some places.
that's what I mean. I'm wondering
Yeah.
what's going on with that, because it's
So
just
that
a bit
could
different
be-
from Tom's usual,
That could be a thing.
mo. Man, is anyone else waiting for Chris Cornell to open up his glorious pipes in this one? Chris Cornell
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
Mike fucking Patton? Come on.
Sorry, I'd take Rob any fucking day, a million times over. But yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Really?
Bring up your other heroes.
Okay,
but
all right.
Rob,
I'm not gonna.
Rob
I'm not
rules.
gonna. Yeah, Rob does rules. This ditty is filled with handfuls of tritones. Parker, I don't know if you were talking about this song where you were hearing major seventh, but I was hearing tritones. So
I was too, and then like I was going through playing along. I don't know if the major seven is actually within an inch. It's not a chord. It's like the interval.
It's an interval. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like,
But that's also ominous too.
You know, I was playing. There is one, I think, within there at some point, but I do also, yeah, there's definitely a tritone in maybe in that same part.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know. I'm bad at
No, but the
figuring
major
out-
seventh is very
song is tough for
anxiety
that.
inducing too. So tritones and major sevenths, minor seconds, they just make people uncomfortable, which
These
is
guys are
kind
the
of
gods
a
of
cool thing.
tritones.
Yeah. Oh, tritones rule. This song's just filled with tritones, glorious sludge. I can't even read the frig I'm right. The across the bridge chorus section, right?
Yeah.
I can't
So
think.
good.
Across the bridge, it's
the bridge.
yeah,
Do
it's-
do do.
yeah, it's fantastic, and it makes my hair stand up. The who's on the bottom, who's on the top sandwich. The
So
who's on
good.
the bottom and the top sandwich is super cool, and I like all the effects they are layering. And yes, it's totally John back there being a weenus. The doubling vocals, the doubling vocals, they're an octave apart, I think. Right? It's cool, and it just adds such a cool dimension to everything, and I just had the depth of it is really interesting with those doubled vocals. The long and the short of it is that this song is 100% crankable and worthy of a few googly eyes.
Nice. Yeah,
Yep.
I think distributing googly eyes
Yeah.
to that song
This
is
is
well
googly.
earned.
Googly.
All right, well, my turn. Sorry, everybody. I know we're stretching it, but I think it's been pretty fucking great so far. But you got to hear my shit now. Wow, two very different songs. Very, very different songs, at least in terms of their tone. I think I agree, Matthew. There's some similarities in their maybe in their themes. I adore "Heaven Is a Dust Beneath My Shoes." I mean, I don't know that it's on my top, but I adore this song. I think Rob wears some of his Buddhism on his sleeve a little bit with the chorus.
Just a
This-
smidge.
It really is. I talked
skosh.
about this the first time, right? I talked
Just
about this
an
the first
iota.
time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pour myself a little bit more of this whiskey.
Matthew, stop it. You're making me drip beer. Face.
This is like textbook via negativa. This is textbook defining the ineffable through what it's not. That's a deep, ancient, philosophical, very respected philosophical method of the only way to get to that which can't be named is to say everything that it isn't. And Rob does that very well by going through all of the things that one might normally associate with heaven, from the very mundane to the very sacred, and yet denying them all. Right. And then it comes down to heaven is my connection with the earth. And again, that idea of beneath my toes, beneath my soles, beneath my shoes, like it moves from the skin to the bottom of the feet to the shoe leather. It's this
Wow.
journey. There's a fucking journey.
No
It's so
socks?
incredible. And I really, no socks, skip the socks.
Sorry. I'm just
Must
being
be,
an ass.
it's wearing some Birkenstocks. Maybe. No, it's boots. It's boots. Although I think there's two sections. I don't think the narrator of the other section is who's singing the sections about Via Negativa. I feel like there are two voices, which is not entirely common in No Means No, but in this it feels very clear to me that they are distinct and maybe antithetical in a certain way, because I think the choruses are very much a descent from something very mundane down a little bit darker as you go through. Even in those verses, I think it carries in the verses, the alternate verses that Parker brought up,
Yeah.
of one's descent through disaffection and alienation into fascism and deeper alienation. Right, the sense of like, first of all, they're rejected by their friends because they're fat, which is very superficial and awful, and yet they don't want to acknowledge their own self. They want to put it on gravity. And then the next thing is about this person they want to humiliate. They want to take their pain and humiliate this person by burying all their clothes in the backyard and telling their parents. But their parents are so disconnected. They're like, yeah, sorry, I'm busy. I'll talk to you later. Right? Like they're disconnected. And so they can't even get a rise that way. And in the end, they're talking about Heraclitus, who fucking Rob mentioned in our interview, who's one of the great Greek philosophers. You can't step into the same river twice. And yet all he says is like, yeah, but when I do that, I get fucking sand on my toes and it's gross. So I put on boots. And what are boots? What are marching boots? That's a fascist symbol, baby. March in those fucking boots. I put on a pair of nice, warm, and it gets so dark. Boots! It's like descent into heavy fascism, pick up the flag and march forward. Fuck this ineffable. Fuck all of that. I'm taking all that disaffection and I'm just going to deny anything ineffable and just fucking march forward on this fucking planet Earth and plow my way through it. It's dark and gorgeous. I also think this song is as close as we'll ever get to No Means No does Broadway. I think this song could be in a Broadway musical, 100%. I think you could put this in any fucking like modern sort of rock Broadway musical and it would kick ass. Especially my favorite part of this is his Sondheim moment. The sand and dirt between the toes. That's very unpleasant. Like it's so fucking. I love that. I know Michelle, you hate it. I love it. I love it.
Especially between the toes.
Because it is such a deep character. It is so like he's dived so deeply into this unpleasant surface shallow fucking being who just can't be bothered with fucking anything ineffable. And that part is so just like, it's beautiful. I fucking love it. I just think it is gorgeous and awful and horrific. This song is definitely my favorite on Ausfart by like a mile. I think the song is so fucking gorgeous and incredible.
I love it.
And I won't talk about how representative it is. We'll save that to round two. But now, compared to Rise, which I also love. Now, I love this when it first came out, but this is another one of those that the more I listen to it, the more I love it. When I first heard it, it almost felt a little like a No Means No parody song. Like it's so dark and grim dark and blah, blah, like this is what, but I don't think that anymore at all. I think this song is just fucking great. And it is so different than anything else they do. I mean, Parker, one of the things that you may talk about, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder here, but you've tried to play this song, I know, and tried to pick out the bass. Whoa. And what's different about this song is it's almost impossible to do that. It's impossible to listen to it and actually pick out the bass from the guitar. They are so engineered and mixed together in a way that almost no other No Means No songs are. They've just blended it, which is
it would have been from Mr. Happy Sessions, I guess.
Really?
No, I think it was from the Would We Be Alive sessions. So that was after Would We Be Alive. I mean, that was after
to me a lot more like
Worldhood
dance to me.
Yeah, it's after Worldhood. It's after Worldhood for sure. Because I saw this tour, and it was definitely after Worldhood.
Totally. Okay. Yeah.
But it does. They were doing something different, and this song is hard for me to pin down meaning wise. It's very much. I mean, it's very much. There's a lot of jokes.
Period, actually.
Yeah. There's a lot of jokes about sex in it. There's a lot of jokes, not jokes, but there's a lot of talk about. There's a religious energy, religious imagery. This rise and sin no more is a tweak off of Christ's go and sin no more, right? But to rise and sin no more, and so it's this connection of like the spiritual with the sexual, and this griminess of like. The griminess almost comes from the tone of the vocals and not even so much from the lyrics, even though the lyrics have this kind of downward pull, but there's like this gaze cast upwards in this song in the same way. But this is one of those songs that I just have to let it wash over me. I'm not going
Yeah,
to pin
yeah,
it down.
yeah.
Some
Yeah.
I really have the urge to pin it down, and I get mad that I can't, or I get interested in trying to pin it down. And this one I don't want to. This one I'm like, nope. This one resists it, and it's not meant for that. It's meant for me to feel it and hear it and sense it and get hints of it, but it can't be pinned down, I don't think. I'd be interested, listeners out there, if you have theories on this song, I'd love to hear more about people's impressions of this song. I would say my guess is that neither of these songs live very high on many No Means No fans' lists, and I think that's a shame. I think Heaven is, at least in terms of Ausfart, but with Parker, clearly for him, and I would think for others, if you really listen to it, this should be pretty high in the pantheon. And Rise should absolutely not be an Also Ran song. This song's fucking amazing. This song is so fucking good. And in terms of highlights in Rise, Rob's gurgly fucking vocals of the, I mean, he's just like his like gurgly depths of screaming those. There's so many great Rob screams, and this is one of my favorites. He's so in his guts, just slurpy. He's a fucking human slurpy in that moment, and it's so juicy and passionate. God, I mean, when you talk about Chris Cornell and stuff like that, it's like, fuck that. Like, as far as I'm concerned, maybe Patton could get there a little bit, but even Patton, to me, is emotionally disconnected. I don't hear, and this is just my opinion. I don't hear Patton letting his vulnerability out. I hear Patton being very
he's doing
technical.
stuff. Yeah.
He's being technical.
All right,
Rob connects with something deep in his fucking soul, rips out his heart and says, I'm going to show this to you right now, and I am here for it. I'm here for it.
No,
and in Rise, it's on full fucking display. He is like right there in the weirdest, grungiest, like 90s metaliest way that they've ever done.
Metaliest?
Well, it is. That's not a word.
No, I like it.
And yeah, these songs are so different, right? Like unlike you, Michelle, I think I really love the contrast of the two types of verses, or the two elements of the song.
I'm
Heaven.
Yeah, I can see why people would like that.
Yeah, because I think it's a character piece, and I think it really distinguishes the two characters really, really importantly.
Mm-hmm.
And Parker, to your point, the drums especially in Heaven are transcendent, and they really do define. You put it really well when they define how I hear the other instruments. They define how I'm meant to hear them, and they change the way that I hear what can be the same riff. John has this magical ability to just completely transform the way my body hears it and the way my feeling hears whatever is going on in the drums and the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think the guitar work is fantastic in both of these songs, but I think especially in Heaven, I love hearing, Matthew, you'd mentioned that we probably heard more of Tom in this. I would agree. I think there's some great fucking guitar, and I love that bridge. The bridge is one of their great
not just
bridges.
his playing, but his input.
His sensibility. Exactly. Yeah. There's some Tom sensibility in this. Tom likes to get a bit goofy. This song has that in it, right? Like this song lets Tom be Tom, right?
Yeah.
And I think they gave it to him on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So two very, very different songs. Brilliant lyrics in both. Really brilliant. I find more to chew on in Heaven. And so I think that's why lyrically for me, it rests more or lands more, because I think there's something more being said that I think is something that has been said by Rob in other ways, in other songs as well. But this is sung, it's put forward very well in this one.
Right.
Do I think a little bit different about it now that I've talked to Rob privately and talked to him on the podcast? Probably, in the sense of where he's coming from politically, but I don't know. I don't know where he was at in 2006. That was a different era.
Also likes to take the piss.
He likes to take the piss no matter what. And that's what I love about this. I think this takes the piss out of everything. It's not taking a point of view. It's taking the piss from everybody. That's what Rob does.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I've already jabbered. We're almost a fucking hour into it, and we're still on the first round. So I'll let you pass off, Matthew, round two.
So it occurred to me that earlier in the evening, I mentioned that I was paying attention kind of to the hockey game. Well, the person I was talking to about the hockey game actually recorded Ausfart. So,
you're talking to Blair?
No, I'm talking to my buddy Colin, who he did the vast majority. I think I actually asked him when you real time shit here during the podcast, when you recorded Asphalt, it was just bass and guitar at the Hive. I was there too for part of it.
Jesus
You-
Christ.
Hey, man,
what all
what
did
a
you do
phone
on the
call.
album? Did you do any suggestive producey stuff? He's like, as far as I remember, I did all the instruments, but really I was just assisting. And then I said, Blair drums I thought were done at Blair Kalibaba's place, and he says no. Drums for sure at the Hive, which is the name of his studio. Drums, bass, and guitars, damn okay. And what I wrote, and this was what made because Parker, in the alternate lyrics that you mentioned, a pair of nice warm pajamas. I remembered that between his bits, like at the my friend's recording studio, Rob would just like curl up on the couch in his jammies.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so I said, okay, damn, okay, I remember differently from you. And my buddy says, I remember Rob getting all snugly on the couch between his parts. And then my friend said, yeah, he was in his pajamas for all his parts.
Holy shit.
Well, I think there's some of that in the book too, where like they were on tour for this album, and Rob was really into his pajamas at that point. Like it was a thing.
Oh my god.
It was a thing.
Jim Jams.
Yeah, Jim
Yeah.
Jams, get cozy, man.
Rob.
Okay, highlights. Oh, so did that part.
Representative.
Yes. I think Heaven is a very very No Means No song. And I think it is maybe the most Asphalt is very John album. And I think that it's maybe the album with all of the contributors sort of contributing. Let's see. Rise. Just like Parker was saying, I think it is. It's a bit conventional. Like it's a bit predictable. It's a good song, but it you can imagine, unlike so many No Means No, most vast majority of No Means No songs, you can imagine another band doing it. And
Yes.
I think it's only interesting in that No Means No are doing it, and it is unusual for them to be doing that particular song. And I think it would sort of, I mean, we're talking about Chris Cornell and shit. It would sort of fade, or
great.
had the potential to fade into kind of bog standard alt rock if it weren't kind of unusual for No Means No to be doing it. So yeah, it's not representative because it doesn't really sound like No Means No, I don't think. Whereas Heaven is a very No Means No song. In terms of their oeuvre, where it fits into their body of work, I think Heaven is, it's important. I think it is maybe my favorite, maybe the most sort of characteristic of their songs on Asphalt. I think it is like the most No Means No-y song on Asphalt.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Rise, it is again kind of its time. I'm glad it exists, that it does sort of reflect what else they might have been listening to at the time. It does sound like a lot of the best part of the grunge bands and
Right.
everything like that. Would I recommend having either of these songs to a newbie? Maybe not. Actually, I might recommend Rise more to a totally uninitiated
Suspecting.
person, because it's pretty accessible because it is relatively sort of predictable, and it's great, but is pretty sort of standard kind of structure.
Right.
You could, unlike so many, the vast majority of No Means No songs, again, you could maybe imagine that being played on kind of alt rock radio. I might use this song to trick a normie into liking No Means No. Whereas Heaven, it's a little more it's not entry level, let's say.
That's right. It's advanced. Tier 2, Tier 3. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
it's a bit odd for a lot of people who I might introduce to No Means No. I think it certainly wouldn't be the first 30 or 40 songs that I would choose to introduce if I was trying to convince someone to be a No Means No fan.
So, Parker, as you can hear, the second round, aside from any other thing you want to fucking say about it, because any thoughts that have popped into your head, you're welcome to say. We try to talk about whether and how each of these songs is representative of No Means No as a whole, and then also kind of how it occupies the oeuvre of No Means No, meaning how important is it in their catalog, and then whether you'd introduce a newbie to either of these songs.
So, like, before I like dig right into that, just trying to build my case a bit more for Heaven as best I can.
Yeah, please.
I think that like it's actually a thing with both of these songs. They have things going on lyrically. There are things these songs are trying to say. I honestly don't think either of these are really that deep by No Means No standards. As far as like No Means No songs, I think there's a lot of other ones that go a lot further and have a lot more to explore. One thing that, like, for Heaven and Dust, as an example, the fact that there are alternative verses that like were played with some level of consistency tells me that those verses weren't like the most finely crafted, because the ultimate meanings are roughly the same. There's the theme, Dad, like you mentioned, I think the key word there is alienation. That's the theme of the verses, and that is consistent through all of them.
Right.
But the forms those takes aren't really that important to the overall story, it seems.
He's not locked into the poetry like he is in other songs.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like I do fucking love the verses, mostly because of just that delivery. Like every line delivery is just so iconic. Like just the rhythm and inflection of it just like sticks in your brain.
Sprechgesang.
Yeah, he's totally
that's
doing that.
the word that Matthew introduced us to that means speak singing in German.
Yeah.
And so that's very much Rob's style.
Yep.
And then like the choruses, they are like the good part of the song. They are the best part. In large part, like as you mentioned, like before, of like there is this like, I don't know, like rising feeling of them. Like they have this heavenly quality, I guess, to sort of put it like through the like the name, which does like make it feel unique. Like the closest analog I have throughout No Means No catalogs to that feeling of the choruses is All Lies, which is another one of my favorite songs. Like that like that just like as the guitars like hit with these big like, you know, sort of passionate vocals that have such a gravitas to the lyrics, like which I don't know, makes Heaven as the Dust feel relatively unique. Like it's not completely uncharacteristic, because it's a very No Means No thing, but it is exceptional, I think, in how well it executes that.
Yeah.
To go back more to the topic of round two, in terms of like representative of their catalog, yeah, Rise, I would agree with what's been said, and that I don't think it's that representative. I think it is like it kind of just doesn't feel like that much of a No Means No song. The Would We Be Alive is a weird EP for that. None of them really feel like No Means No, except weirdly Would We Be Alive, the cover feels like the most No Means No track on so that funny. EP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of like despite the fact that like there are situations, I think I can think of many situations in which I would play Heaven as the Dust for a non No Means No fan, but in terms of trying to get someone into No Means No, I would never choose that song. It's I don't think it's a good intro. The verses especially are like, without the context of being into that type of songwriting, it's weird.
Right.
It's weird. It doesn't really make much sense. If you don't already like that kind of thing, I don't know how that would come across. In terms of like Rise, not only would I introduce someone to that, I have played for this. I don't think it.
Who did you play it for?
My friend Eli.
Nice.
Because I knew he was into like metal stuff. I don't think it led to him listening to any more No Means No music, but he liked Rise at least. So
great.
That's something.
Yeah. That's cool.
It is definitely a song that seems accessible to people. It's one of the few ones that I've gotten like, I guess, like positive reactions towards playing for people.
So what I said basically is borne out by what you did.
Yeah, exactly. It's palatable.
Tricking normies.
Yeah, it's palatable for people who like hard rock or like metal or something like that. It's it's palatable. Great. All right.
I love the fact that just because it occurred to me, Parker, Would We Be Alive? That's probably my favorite song in that album as well. You might want to look up a band from New Zealand called the Mr. Sterile Assembly. They cover Would We Be Alive, but they're not covering the Residents version. They're covering No Means No covering.
Fuck you! What?
Version.
Why have we not? You got to put that in our chat, man. I've never heard that. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Holy shit! That is incredible.
Huh.
And
we're
yeah,
gonna put that in the show notes and
Mr.
on the
Mr.
webpage.
Sterile Assembly. It's just they're just
Mr.
based in drums
Sterile
and
Assembly.
they're amazing band.
Amazing. That's
Cool.
That's crazy.
Yep.
All right, Michelle, round
It's a
2.
crazy band name too, Mr. Sterile Assembly. Are these songs representative? Gosh, I guess they both are in their own ways, says me. Both songs rely on the lyrics that are delivered pretty superbly. I'm just thinking not maybe the message of the song, but how they're delivered and recorded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And Rob, he sounds great on both. Heaven has more of a detached feel. I think you were mentioning that a little bit, Parker, how it's just a little disconjointed. And I think both the songwriting of both of them are, and the instrumentals themselves, they had, like, Rise has this wall of sound different from Heaven, where it's a little more disjointed. But I think, they've dipped their toes in each of those kind of environments. I think Rise is, like I said, a wall of sound that's it's gelled more to me, and I'm attracted to songs maybe like that, and I think it's ready for a wall of Marshall amps. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. And
Nice.
when I play them, I don't think I would play Heaven, only because, like, if I can't handle it, then probably I wouldn't, like, throw it on for somebody, because I'm
It's
not
a
saying I can't
weird
handle
song.
it. That's
It's
shitty.
a weird
Yeah, that's another one of those ones that you got to work your way up to, like you said, tier 2 or 3. And Rise, yeah, I would play it. It's straightforward. So let's see how loud my stereo can get. And
Mhm.
God, the recording on it. Matthew,
It's
was your
great.
friend did the recording on this?
No,
sounds-
on Alsford
Alsford.
songs. Yeah.
Alsford. The recording on these two pieces is really exceptional, I
Yeah,
think.
it's great production
It really is.
in such different ways. Yeah.
Oh, it's just tremendous. You can hear when Rob, like, licks his lips.
Yes.
You can.
Slaps his chops.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but
No,
like,
yeah, it's
he's
great.
really.
I want
sounds
every
good.
gurgle. I want every gurgle.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
get it all.
Yeah.
All right. So, representative. Yeah, I think Heaven is very representative. I think Matthew said this, and Parker to some degree too, that actually to a great degree, that for me on this album, it's the most representative in terms of their looking backward. Maybe that's because I think, Matthew, you said this explicitly. It feels like the most Rob song. It probably is a John composition. Could very well be a John composition, but it has Rob's fingerprints all over. His performance is so Rob on
Subject
this one.
wise, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Mhm.
this cuts to what you were talking about, Parker. I think it's Rob's performance of the verses that says more of the meaning than even the words themselves. Not that the words aren't
Absolutely.
important, but that's what gives that feeling of alienation in the character, and why maybe playing with the verses in this is more possible, because it's not the structure of the poetry, it's the feeling and the intention and the delivery that allows for a lot of different words to be said
Yep.
while still capturing that same tone, the same meaning, which is, I mean, it's representative in the way that Rob is just fucking genius on that level, and the way he can use his performance
Wearing my
to
jammies.
do it. And I think the way that they can have, multiple narrators in a song and antithetical ideas that encompass a single idea because they're showing the different poles of a single of a greater idea. It's very representative. And Rise is not, but in the best possible way. Like, it is No Means No doing someone else's style of music better than anybody else can do their own style of music. Like, it's just so fucking good. But there's no other song like Rise. There just isn't. Like, there's no, I mean, in No Means No catalog, there just isn't as much of a 90s. I mean, you mentioned Chris Cornell. I don't mean to shit on him at all. Like,
no,
that's,
no,
whatever.
I don't think you
But
have
it's
been.
it's
You have
that
not.
it's
No,
that
no.
world. Like, it is that
Yeah,
world. Like,
definitely,
right?
it's
Like,
grunge
them,
for sure.
it's them
It's- yeah,
channeling
yeah.
grunge, but just fucking eating everybody's lunch on the way.
Right.
Doing their song. It's so good.
Yep.
And I think Heaven is important in their oeuvre because for their late era, it shows the erudition and the kind of evolution of Rob's thinking in a way, and his ability to still be very eloquent and funny and sardonic and philosophical, all in a single song in a way that's just fucking amazing. And his ability to perform that, not just say it. This is what I've said many times about this band. There's a lot of bands that are really great, have great music, great lyrics, but the singer is just singing. They may have a great voice, but they're just singing. Rob doesn't do that. He performs it. He's in it. He's giving me layers of meaning through the way he's saying it. It's not just sonically pleasant. He's conveying information in the very way he sings it. And this song is a perfect example of that, especially in the late period. Rise, I think maybe isn't important, but it should be more well-loved. Like, I don't know that it's important in their oeuvre because I don't think it really is representative of them, but it's such a great fucking banger that anybody who's listening to this podcast who isn't really familiar with it, after this podcast, don't shut it off now. After this podcast is over, fucking go put it on. It's only on YouTube. It's where you're going to find it if you don't own this. Go listen if you haven't. Fucking hear it. It kicks ass. Listen twice.
Kicks ass.
And then tomorrow, listen again. Or 3 times. I've listened to it like 100 now because of this podcast, and it gets better every fucking time. It is so fucking good. And Rob's gurgly vocals are just chef's kiss on this one.
Yep.
I have prepared for this podcast, I think, 3 distinct times.
Yep, exactly. Because we've had to pull the plug each time.
Because I shit the bed twice.
No. You got COVID. Yeah, that's your fault.
I don't know if I had COVID.
God damn
I don't
it.
think I had COVID.
Well, you got sick. I pulled the plug too on this fucker, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's meta. We are newbies. No, neither of these songs are newbie songs. Heaven is too top tier, just in the sense of like you got to work your way up to this song.
It's like one in that way to me.
Yeah, it is like one in that way. Now, Rise. If I knew somebody who was a grunge guy or a metal guy, I might play them Rise and say, and now listen to this. Yeah. It could be a good gateway drug. It is kind of a no means no liminal space where it can sit between a bunch of genres, especially the heavier genres, and maybe pull someone in. But
my cross the street neighbor, I asked him, I know he plays music and stuff like that, and I'm like, what's a band you really like? He's like, Audio Slave. Like, okay.
Yeah. Put that on for him.
It gives me something to think about.
Yeah. But I still would never be near the top of my list. It would be a very specific person. That's what I would say. Not any newbie, but a very specific person. Maybe I would play Rise for them. But it's a great fucking song. It's more accessible than Heaven. I'll say that in terms of the two of them.
Yeah.
All right. So now the tough one. Now we're doing the vote. And Matthew, you're first.
Yeah, as much as I like Rise, I think I got to go for Heaven just because it is. There's just more to it. It's pretty easy pull. Rise as it is more accessible, but it's really not like anything else they did. I can't think of offhand songs that sound like that. Not that everything needs to sound the same, but I think Heaven has a lot of the themes and a lot of what I consider important about No Means No most of the time. And that's my vote.
Nice. All right, Parker. You were
Parker,
second,
what are you going to vote for?
Vote? I think we know, but
yeah. No, Rise. No. Heaven's the Dust.
Smartass.
Heaven's the Dust is obviously
nice.
my choice against any No Means No song.
Ooh, look at that.
Maybe All Lies. Even though I like Heaven is more, I'd probably go for All Lies.
Well, unfortunately, these assholes, along with Chet Zar, voted out All Lies. So you can.
Did we?
Yep, these fuckers. Anyway, Michelle, your vote.
What was it against?
I don't remember, but whatever the fuck.
I want to know. Don't dangle that.
I can't remember.
Well, look it up on your spreadsheet.
I will.
All right, I'm an asshole. I'm gonna vote for Rise. I like the song better. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
It's fine.
All right.
You can be wrong, just like I am often wrong, which I am wrong, won out against All Lies. See what I did there? I am wrong, won against All Lies. Yeah, except I Am Wrong isn't on that album, so sorry.
All Lies is.
Yeah, All Lies is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I could either force a tie and have us go to the dice, but we all know that's not going to
Fuck
happen.
the
It's
dice, man. No.
the dice might be coming, but not for this. Not for this song.
I
It's
hope
definitely for me. It's definitely for me. Heaven. But I will
Yeah.
say, it's not close. It's not close. But I love Rise. Rise. I fucking love this song. I think it is incredible. It is great.
Yeah.
And I bang my head more. I do it's a head banging when I listen to Rise. I might even hit repeat more on Rise, in the sense of like just really enjoying it as a musical experience for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But Heaven touches all the sides of No Means No for me in an important way. So Heaven wins for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Heaven won. I'm going to ask before I read the listener submission, which we're going to go into. Oh, look at that kitty.
I have
I was going
something
to say, is it time to pee?
I
Yeah.
have a me pee.
Me pee pee. So
Yeah,
let's all take a pee pee break. Listeners, why don't you
time.
do that too? But unfortunately for you listeners, I'm going to cut out the actual break, so you'll have to hit pause. But for the rest of us, why don't we go pee pee, and I'll see you back here shortly.
Pee. All right.
Oh, little kitty meow gives me the cue to come back in. I hope everyone had a good pee break. So we are going to have a listener submission. Thank you, everyone who has been sending them in. We have gotten a few more. Matthew, do you want to crank up the guilt knob a little bit and tell our listeners
guilt
why
knob?
they should pay? Since we're not doing a Patreon or anything like that,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one currency we require is...
Yeah, no, exactly. We're not requiring
Your
your
soul.
dollars and pounds and ringgits and reals and fucking drachmas. Hey guys, just send in your shit, send in your opinions, send in your stories, send them to no means nothing podcast at gmail.com. We kind of like to start by oh, that's adorable. Michelle's got a kitty. Hi, kitty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Meow meow.
That was me.
Yeah.
Here.
What a
I'm
good
sorry.
boy.
I'm interrupting your.
Yeah. So start by telling us what no means no means to you, or your no means no origin story, or a particular anecdote that you might or may not have about no means no. Could be the most mundane thing, just like by yourself in I don't know, a Walmart or some absolutely life-changing experience on some absolutely life-changing psychedelics. Who knows? Just tell us your story. Again, no means nothing podcast at gmail.com. Please do send the stuff in. It will all be related in some form. It may take some time. Please be patient. We do endeavor to read out or play anything that you may or may not send in. You may send in. And if we happen to lose track and you have not heard your thing in I don't know, a year and a half,
We'll tell you. How about this? We'll tell you,
again.
because right
Yeah.
now we've got a little stack of ones coming up. So those who have reminded us, thank you, because it was useful.
Yeah.
It brought them back up to the top, and I've got my little stack. So when we get to the end of that stack, I will tell you. And if you have not heard yours yet, then you can resend it and say, "You motherfuckers, this is the third time I've sent it. Bitch, read it," because we're reading all of them. There's
my
not a single one that we have not read, and there's not a single one we will not read or play. Right? Because you can send us an audio file, or you can send us something to read. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Or if you've already sent in that stuff, send it again. It may change with time because things do that.
Right.
Or if you have comments or gripes, who knows, argue with us about our choices. Do whatever you need to do. Just send it on into no means nothing podcast at gmail.com.
Very good. So today we are going to hear from Ivan Bachvarov. Ivan, thank you so much for this. Really excited to read this one out. So this was a written submission, so I'm going to go ahead and read this one out for us.
All right.
I discovered your podcast a few days ago and started listening avidly to the episodes in reversed order. My favorite podcast it's definitely was by this point, Ivan. Let's be clear. Podcast Croissant, the Faith No More podcast. But those guys just made a 4 months long hiatus, and I was hungry for another cool podcast. I just finished Jason Lamb's book From Obscurity into Oblivion and was riding on a No Means No rediscovery wave when Spotify suggested your podcast to me. I can't believe you managed to churn out so many episodes while I was totally clueless.
Yeah.
Right.
And let
You
me
weren't
tell
paying attention, Evan.
And let
Come
me
on.
tell you that you are the perfect team to do this podcast. This realization came to me rather quickly. Just like with the
Whoa.
podcast Croissant guys, one Aussie, one Brit, one Scott, where the personalities are a perfect match for the vibe of the music. In their case, goofy, sarcastic, ironic, open to experimentation. So I don't have to worry about waiting another 4 months for their next episode because now I have about 60 episodes of yours to get through.
Right.
Oh my God.
My origin story. I am Bulgarian, now living in Massachusetts. I discovered No Means No in the year 2000, Mondo Nilismo, while I was doing an underground international internship in Poland. I spent 2 months in the marketing department of a textile plant in the eastern Polish city of Białystok. I was 21 years old, a kid in my present estimation. All that I cared about was music. This hasn't changed much, and I was harping about the stuff that I liked. To anyone that would listen. A bespectacled Polish guy named Piotr told me, "Hey, if you like Primus so much, you need to hear this Canadian band, No Means No." I have never heard of them, right? I have never heard of them. Never even heard the name before. And for some reason, very few people in Bulgaria know them even to this day.
Wow.
But as you are well aware, Poland is a huge market for
Yep.
No Means No.
Yep.
So Piotr, God bless him, gifted me a wrong cassette, a very cool Polish licensed copy of the album. I am eternally grateful for his kind and generous gesture because I never saw him again. But he converted me into a lifelong fan.
It's like he gave him a kidney.
I have done the same several times, giving away copies of something that I love with the hope that it would speak in the same way to a stranger.
Right.
Once, I gave a guy a copy of Down by Law by Jim Jarmusch, which was my all-time favorite film. So anyway, I had to go to Poland to discover No Means No. And
Pretty
this
good band,
discovery...
too.
Yeah, and I had to go to Poland to discover No Means No, and this discovery remains the highlight of my sojourn there. Shortly after, I found a copy of Mr. Happy, and then I got my hands on Live and Cuddly cassette. It was on this cassette where I heard truly some amazing songs alongside the familiar ones from Wrong that I later discovered were part of Sex Mad, which, to this day, is my all-time favorite No Means No record. My No Means No story. In November of 2007, I was fortunate enough to see No Means No playing live in a club called Swinging Hall in Sofia. As I walked towards the club, I saw the 3 guys from the band standing on the sidewalk outside, looking rather lost. I said something nice to this of the sort of, "Great to have you here in Bulgaria," but no conversation ensued. At this stage, I still couldn't quite tell who is who because they all look a bit alike. 3 gray-haired men. But I think it was Tom who looked particularly unhappy. He was looking at me in a mean way, I thought.
Surprise,
I
surprise.
walked away. Maybe it was my Toy Dolls shirt? I don't know. Now that I've read the book, I know that they had a shitty time in Sofia. There is just one short paragraph in the book where they say that they were put in a dingy apartment with no water or heat. I remember this chapter. I am so sorry to learn this late, and I wish I could have helped.
Yeah.
By 2012, I was organizing shows in Sofia, and I've always made sure that my bands are fed, properly accommodated, and paid their
Yes.
guarantee, even if out of my pocket. You fucking rule, Ivan.
Yeah.
I have organized gigs for Mike Watt, Toby Driver, and Trey Spruance' Secret Chiefs 3, and a few others. Fucking shit, dude.
shit.
You rule.
Mhm.
That's me there. Now that I live in the U.S., I no longer put on shows. I simply listen to podcasts. Anyway, I should say a few words about the gig itself, which is one of the best I have attended. The opening band were the Invasives. Woohoo! A really high-energy punk band, and Bulgarian rockers Crowfish. The place was brightly lit. All the lights were on, and the mosh pit was going strong. 2007 is the year when Bulgaria entered the EU, but I think I was still allowed to smoke inside of bars. Also, they used to give you glass bottles when you bought beer at the bar. Bad idea.
Yeah.
The expected happened. Some idiot in the pogo fell on his beer, and there was shattered glass everywhere right in front of the stage.
Oh, no.
There was blood on the floor.
Oh,
The
blood
guy
on
who
the
was
floor.
cut was escorted out by his friends. There were no visible security personnel that I can remember. I tried to signal to the band to stop playing while an old lady with a broom came to clean the mess so that nobody else gets harmed.
Oh, babushka.
The cleaning lady was wearing one of those archaic gowns from socialist times. Oh, fuck. This the imagery in this. Rob seemed bemused by the whole situation, and instead of showing any empathy for the stupid punk that got harmed, he said, "Hey, look at that old lady with the broom."
Oh, he did not.
She was probably his age. Other than this incident, the show was great. The audience was chanting, "Mama!"
Rabushka.
"Mama!" and jumping in one big hugging circle. There was tons of merch, and I got the Stay Home Read a Book shirt, which was my favorite shirt for a few years, until it disintegrated on me. I also got an Ausfart poster that I had on my walls for many years. What I love about No Means No. I absolutely adore anything in the period 1985 through 1993, which is pretty much the Andy Kerr period. To me, it seems something was lost forever with the Andy leaving. A certain je ne sais quoi. But I still appreciate everything that came after, all the way to Remix's EP. I never liked the Ramones and still don't, so I'm not happy when Hanson Brothers' influence split into No Means No proper, and this started happening more and more over time. About 20 years ago, I went to the Alternative Tentacles website and ordered the Hisonal CD, because I really wanted to check what Andy is up to. I was a bit disappointed. Although the music was highly original, it lacked the spark that he used to bring to No Means No. Just as Primus fused influences from the Residents and Rush, so No Means No fused influences from the Residents and the Ramones. That Residents influence is about the only commonality between the two bands. Although in both bands, the bass is bass. Jesus Christ. I did it. That's a gift.
God.
Although in both bands, the bass is prominent,
Parker.
and maybe a bass.
The Boris.
The bass tone and the approach is totally different.
The Burst.
Still boggles me how No Means No elevated the bass to such prominence,
The Buds.
as the bass guitar is nowhere to be heard in their influences. In terms of composition, my favorite No Means No songs by No Means No usually possess these three characteristics. 1, they are rather long and feel like journeys. 2, they have a quiet, loud dynamics. 3, they have deep, heartfelt lyrics and vocal delivery. My favorite songs are I Need You, Self-Pity, Victory, Metronome, and Real Love.
Whoa.
It's a type of song that it seems to me they stopped composing after 1993. Perhaps the tour EPs attempted at revisiting this approach to composition to some extent, more than so than the 3 LPs that came after Mr. Happy, which I consider to be the pinnacle of the back catalog. This became a rather long email, so I'll stop and not bore you any further. I need to go, as I have some 60 episodes to listen to.
Oh.
Cheers, Ivan.
Ives.
Ivan, that rocked.
Yeah.
Some good hot takes in there. I
Yeah.
appreciate your honesty on some of that shit. A lot of
Yeah.
people will pull off the edges on that a little bit. I would be interested, Ivan, in rehearing from you, because I've heard this from others. This is not about us, but just about maybe diving deeply into that back catalog or the newer catalog. If your opinion on some of those later songs has changed after hearing us opine about them. We've had other people say they appreciated the later period a little bit more in hearing us sort of deep dive into it, but maybe not, because that's not an uncommon opinion. But Ivan, that fucking rocked.
Yeah,
we want
thank
more
you.
of you to write in, just like Ivan did. Be an Ivan. Write into us, record. We want to hear it. So thank you, fucking top shelf.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so round 2. The next songs are, drum roll. We don't have John here, so no drum roll. Madness and Death, off of Why Do They Call Me Mr. Happy, 1993. Now, Madness and Death is a people's choice. It lost to All Lies in episode 6, with Michelle dissenting. And that was in round 1. All Lies is now lost in round 2 to I Am Wrong, so whatever. Assholes. But anyway, Madness and Death, people choice.
Yeah.
It goes up against Ghosts, which is from 0 + 2 = 1, 1991, but also from 0 + 2 = 1.5 off of 2010, where we've got the all-instrumental version. Now, Ghosts won up against Predators in episode 30, and that was unanimous. So now we're going to hear a little of this ghost story of Madness and Death as I pop together these two songs in some sort of portmanteau for your ears right
Now.
Let's get started.
free. Like you always wanted to be. You're alone, alone, alone. There is no one there. You're alone, alone, alone. There's no one there.
All right. So
Thanks again, Ivan.
Yes.
Slavanska.
and yes, probably Ivan.
Slavianska
not Ivan.
Chesnost.
So my apologies. Matthew's always better at the
I'm
pronunciation.
pissed
than I
off
am.
I'm pissed off at Rob for saying that to the lady. Think she wanted to be there?
But if you listen, I mean, anybody who's read the book know that was kind of Rob's peak grumpy period, I think.
Well,
I think
she
he was
didn't want
kinda
to be
done.
there. She's having to clean up somebody's
Yeah.
blood and slop
No,
from
no,
the
no.
floor.
I suspect it was like that wasn't my take at all. It was like you know,
Oh,
give her some respect.
Exactly. He
Yeah.
was
but he didn't
probably
have to
giving
call her
props.
an old lady.
Well, he's old too. I think. That's
Well,
the
all
thing.
right. Well, I'm gonna have
In
a
any
word.
event, I'm first on this round. I want to point out, first of all, before I talk about either song, that all of you, if you haven't already, need to go listen on YouTube to Ghosts of Time,
Oh,
which is
God.
live 2012 from A38 Rocks. This version of, first of all, that whole A38 Rocks set that they play is probably
Yeah.
one of the most professional recordings that has been made
Yep.
of No Means
Definitely
No.
the best live recording there is.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
right. And this song in particular is, I think, live at least, in terms of what I see recorded, is their most jammy version of anything. They're fucking playing around on this. Rob,
Yeah.
especially, in a way that I never see him fucking around
Wait,
on the
the
bass.
vocals are recorded, so he's not actually doing that.
No, but his vocals barely come into it. This is not
No,
that.
exactly.
It's John who's singing the vocals, but his
Yeah.
bass playing, like there are periods that are pure improvisation. They're not even the main riff. They're anyway,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
fucking rocks. So
Yeah, there's a camera above the drum
Yep.
set. That's
Yep.
all you need to know.
So Madison Death
Right there.
and Ghosts, very different songs, back to back in terms of period. Right, we've got
Yeah.
the last of Andy and the first
91 and 93.
of just the brothers. So really, really back to back. And Madison Death, as far as I know, some of those songs seem to have had an earlier correlate or were had been worked on before. I don't think Madison Death was one of those. Both of these songs are fucking incredible. I think there are similarities in the sense of theme in a certain way. I think Madness and Death and Ghosts really refer to the ineffability of our own self and the way that we depend on an image of ourself, either of our memory of others and of our own inner sense, like you have in Ghosts, and Madness and Death on the sense of being so attached to the external world that we really have no connection with our own inner impulses. And so there's this sense of how lost we are because we're either so externally focused and not in touch with our inner world at all. And Ghosts were so tied to our memory and to our memories of other people that we really have no sense of what our true nature is. We're totally cut off from our true nature. And that leads us into loneliness and into madness and death, into kind of a disconnection from our own selves. Madness and Death, it really is this, I mean, first of all, musically, the song is just so fucking great. It just comes in from that great, just grindy bit. And you've got that great Rob Whoop, woo! And just the rolling bass line in this is so fucking good. The guitar, I think Rob's guitar work in this is so good. There's a guitar solo later in it. Pardon me, this whiskey's really hit me at this point. But later
It's
in
the
this
peanut
song,
butter.
it is the peanut butter. Later in this song, I wonder if there's part of a guitar solo that might actually be John doing his keyboard guitar work, like he does it slowly melting, because it sounds a little bit like something Rob wouldn't do on a solo. It sounds more like something John would do. But anyway, I digress. Madison Death, I think lyrically is fucking great. It's this, I mean, the chorus is so No Means No. Madness, madness, Madison Death. Respect, right? You've got these two sides of this facing the reality of our lives, which when you really dive in and you get to that place that Rob often gets to, of just contemplating what it means to be being on this planet, often what you're facing is just the reality of madness and death. And yet behind that are these voices just calling out in this semi-earnest, semi-sarcastic way, respect, humility, not quite earnest. I don't quite believe what he's saying, but it's this voice that wants to believe in respect, that wants to believe in humility, poised against madness and death. And this idea that's put forward in the first lyric in this, and the first lyric in the song of, let me see if I find it here. Within the dark night of the soul, there lies a hidden warming glow. And if that glow were blue and white, could you sleep dreamless through the night? But if that glow were red and black, would you want your money back? It's like, we don't really know ourselves. And when we really do turn the gaze inward, what are we hoping to see? Are we hoping to see goodness? But if we had goodness, could you really sleep dreamless through the night? Which is, those dreams being the things that come up from the unconscious and bubble up out of our control that can often be violent and degrading and horrific. But if it was red and black, if you faced that, would you feel like robbed? Would you feel like shit? I don't want to acknowledge robbed. There you go. That's a good pun. I wouldn't want to. People don't want to acknowledge that darker part of their nature. And I think the last verse of this song, where he talks about, all you see and all you know hangs from a stick before your nose. And that the brilliant delivery of the lines, if all you see is what you want and what you see is what you get, then cease your searching low and high and listen to my whispered lies. Ask for nothing. Close your eyes. It's such a Rob.
Holy shit, that's heavy.
This Rob distillation of, we do not ever interrogate ourselves. All we are the projection of our wants. And our wants are so fucking shallow, and that's all you see. So you might as well just shut your eyes and ask for fucking nothing. Just shut it down, because your gaze is purely outward. It's not inward. Because when it's inward, you can't handle what you see. You cannot fucking take it. And I think it's also very sympathetic to the difficulty of doing that by the chorus of, it's hard enough, just to survive, just to be alive. I feel that. I have a meditation practice. I try to occupy myself with these fucking questions and have for decades. And yet I often find it's just too fucking hard to face, because I just have to survive. I just have to be alive. It's hard to fucking ask those questions when we're drowned in the day-to-day of our lives. And I think Rob, in a sense, that those verses are very sympathetic and accusatory at the same time, in the best way possible, in the way that Rob can hold a stick with two ends. And I just think the delivery in this is perfect in that regard. I think he's top of his game in this song. Yeah. I think it's fucking great. And then Ghosts, I dive deeply into this one. I think Matthew killed this song last time, so I don't want to go too much into it, because I know, Matthew, this is a very important song for you.
Yeah, you did kill it. Yep.
But Ghosts, I think, is about death and about our relationship to those that have come before us that mean something to us. But I also think it's about our own sense of ourselves and how illusory that is, and how we're to ourselves just as much of a memory as those that have come before us, and that our sense of ourselves is just as illusory as the memories that we hold on to of the people that we've lost. This whole thing of, you think you have time, you have no time. It's like, no, you're as empty and gone. You're as much of a ghost to yourself as the people that you've lost, that you hold in your memory. And those people only exist as a memory. They're not real anymore. They're gone. And yet behind it all is something else. Just like in Madness and Death, what I love about No Means No is I feel like, and Rob's lyrics, his nihilism never finds a bottom in the sense that it never tries to put a period on the question. It calls through our bullshit so that the question of what we really are and what's really there is left open in a way that I feel is very inviting, in a very profound way. It's not shallow. It's not a shallow nihilism that just says there is no meaning, there is nothing, you are nothing. It's opening up the question by getting rid of or inviting me to get rid of what my perceptions of what it is to be a being on this planet, so that I can really ask, well, what the fuck am I then? And it invites that question. I think Ghosts does that beautifully. Musically, Ghosts is incredible. That opening riff is fucking incredible. Talk about googly eyes, Michelle. That's one of their fucking... And that's why Ghosts of Time is so great, because it's just riffing off of that riff the entire time in all these different ways. It is so beautiful and loping. And John is not being pyrotechnic on the drums, but he's being perfect on the drums. Everything is perfectly in line with what the guitar and the bass are doing. And
he's throwing smooth, heavy 5-pound rocks into a very, very deep pond.
Now, what is different about these songs is that Andy's guitar playing is transcendent on Ghosts. I think it's so fucking good. That I was listening to today, and what really hit me was when at the end there's the last thing of like, do you really care? And every time Andy has this little answer, but then there's these different answers every time, and his answer is a vocal delivery through the guitar strings. It's so fucking perfect. And the way it morphs, and then the way that last verse goes down into nothing, it's just Andy's like, right? It's just, it's fucking, and then right into the grinding initial riff. Andy's guitar work in this is so haunting. And there's a vocal track way in the distance of like a haunting open toned vocal track of like a ghost howling almost. That's fucking brilliant. The production on this is so layered and so spooky and so haunting. And Andy's guitar playing, I think this song, I mean, it's not his best song, but it demonstrates to me what he added to the band that was never recaptured. I'll admit that from Ivan. Like, there was never guitar playing like this on any No Means No song. And what it adds to this song is transcendent. This song without Andy would be... No, that's not true, because Ghosts of Time is fucking brilliant. It does not have Andy. And to be fair, Tom is not doing Andy. He's trying to, but he's not even really trying to do Andy. But what Andy brings to the song is fucking transcendent. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, deep, deep, deep work, and so textural and so not trying to be a lead guitarist. He's just, it's one of those holographic songs. Every piece of the song is feeding into what they're saying, how they're saying it, what the delivery is. What bugs me, there's only one thing that bugs me in Ghosts, and I alternately, it bugs me. It's one moment. Now. It's one moment. It alternately bugs me, and I alternately love it. I do not hear those echoed sounds. I do not like the way Rob says echoed, where he's so tied to the rhythm that he breaks up echoed in this really stilted way. Sometimes it bugs the shit out of me, and other times I fucking love it. So it just depends on the day whether I hate it or love it. But it's a real turning point for me in that, because everything else in that lyric, it's so duh. It's so in tune with it, and it's so deep and wonderful. And echo is the only thing that gets me. But again, sometimes I fucking love it. But that would be the only thing I would say that I don't like about it. And again, sometimes I love it. So it's not always that I don't like about it. From Madness, I mean, I don't think there's anything I particularly don't like about it. I think I love the last chorus, and I love the guitar solo when it really gets kind of, and that's the one where I think, I'm not sure if it's Rob or if it's John doing keyboard. That sounds like guitar, like he did in Slowly Melting, but I fucking love that part. And I love how that song in particular is bookmarked by noisy bits, which is very much like Birth, Death, the bookends of existence, and here we are in the middle, surrounded by Madison Death. It's just sequencing chef's kiss perfectly on that. So anyway, I've blathered a lot. I'm going to let go. Parker, I didn't even ask if you wanted to go first like I had meant to before, so sorry about that, buddy. But you know me, I can't ever shut up. You're well aware of that. But you're up. What do you think of these songs?
I'm realizing now, I didn't realize how much of my take on Ghosts is very much seems like a hot take.
Good, let's hear it.
That I don't like this song very much.
Wow.
At all.
Good.
Oh wow! No, I love it. That's good.
There are others that feel the same. I
Wait,
know
hold
that's
on.
not an uncommon feeling. In
I
the
lost
Including the
my,
band
lost my train of
themselves.
thought. I realized like I didn't listen to the 1.5 or the live versions before doing this, which I'm remembering I probably should have done. I think I've listened to them before, but not with any recency. So I'll be speaking entirely of the album version.
You fail, banish from the podcast forever.
This song, something I love about No Means No is a lot of their songs are really long. Like their average song is like 6 minutes. Their average length.
Yeah,
but
they do have a lot of those 6 minutes.
They never feel that long. Like similar like punk bands or proggy bands that have songs like they feel their length. With No Means No, that isn't really true. They have the like musical pace and energy of like a 3-minute song, but just much longer.
Yeah.
Ghosts, I do not feel that. This song is like 8 minutes and it feels like 12 to me.
Okay.
I like I'll listen to like No Big Surprise and just stay like locked in and engaged that entire way through. But in every time I listen to Ghost, for like prepping for this podcast, like at some point during the song, my mind would start to wander. Like,
okay. Yeah.
It drags. It just feels too long. It feels like it isn't developing enough musically to justify its length. It doesn't have enough sections that build upon each other lyrically and like structurally to make that feel good. Like there are good I guess my biggest criticism is the song feels like it could have taken a few more like runs at it in terms of like tightening things up. Like there's some really really good ideas. That opening riff is phenomenal. As has been mentioned, like Andy's guitar playing is fucking insane on this song. It's so good. I love like the little jazzy improvisation bits to the verses. They're so good. I think the main thing that loses the song for me is the lyrics. Like I do think the things it's saying and some of that is interesting, but there's something about the way it's written that just doesn't land. Like something I've realized more is like you and like Dad, you and me have like you've told me more about like sort of the back end stuff you've learned about how like a lot of these songs were written with like John writing the music and then like sort of Rob doing the lyrics over that. And that's something that like you don't hear listening to most of their music because it's so fucking seamless. It isn't seamless for me on this song. Like I can feel the lyrics being written over the existing music more on this than any other song I can think of. Like I can feel the lyrics trying to slot in with the music. And I don't know, it just doesn't really like work for me. And that's, I think, interesting for this song going against Madison Death, because that song is incredibly tight. It's one of the shortest on Mr. Happy. And it has no fluff. In fact, there are parts that I wish they like stretched out longer. Specifically that opening riff, which is one of my favorite like No Means No riffs ever. That dun 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 dun. Like it's this weird like it's sort of a weird rhythmic thing to have going on with guitar, like a lot of like sort of like offbeat stuff happening there. And it's that sort of segues into, I think, the main strength of Madison Death musically is just like how many like sort of beat switches and stuff happen in the song. Like the number of rhythmic changes and developments in Madison Death are insane. They're wild.
Yeah.
There's like it's consistently a very like energetic, danceable song, but the rhythm and pace of that shifts wildly throughout the course of that. And you couple that with really poetic and interesting lyrics. It's probably the song on Mr. Happy that I have the hardest time making heads or tails of, to be honest. Like it has so many interesting ideas, but like it's kind of hard for me to figure out what I'm supposed to take away, which is also true of Ghosts, but in a more negative context, in that like when I'm listening to Ghosts, sort of like my main criticism of the song, which is just a personal thing, is like emotionally I don't know what it wants me to feel. Like even
that's
when
usually not a thing with No Means No, so that's interesting,
even
right?
when the
like,
lyrics are sort of obtuse, there's like an emotional truth that I can get. Like I get what the tone and energy is. I don't know, like, and maybe that's just like me and my own life experiences, but Ghost just doesn't hit like that for me. Like I don't get that just resonance from it that I get from almost all their other music.
Mm-hmm.
I think sort of piggybacking that sort of off what we were saying in Madness and Death. I think there's a kind of this feels like sort of an alternate. It feels similar to Machine in a lot of the ways that the narrator here feels manipulative. Like in that's the context. Like
yeah.
Mr. Happy is so much like it's such an existentialist work. It's so much about like our relationship to society and how that orients like sort of meaning in our relationships with each other and stuff. And whereas Machine always struck me as like a song that's very much about like sort of religious institutions and sort of that sort of the manipulations that could happen on our thought process. Like Madness and Death feels, it doesn't feel that grand of a thing, but it's like a similar angle in it. It feels like someone trying to dissuade someone from seeking more meaning or trying to make more of themselves to some extent. Like
yeah.
it's trying to just just live, just sort of just survive, just go about your life. And like that line you mentioned, like if all you see is what you want and what you see is what you get, then cease your searching low and high, listen to my whispered lies. And I think the key word there is lies. Like ask for nothing, close your eyes. Like that's a lie.
Such an important concept in No Means No.
Yeah. All lies.
I think I probably need to give Ghosts a bit more time to sync. It's a song that I rarely return to, which I think is probably a mistake because it does have a lot to offer and a lot of really interesting stuff, especially in that music, especially in that like guitar stuff in the intro. This is a thought that I had like before coming on the podcast when I heard what the track list was. My main thing with Ghosts is that there are so many songs in No Means No that like if I'm having a specific mood, I'll go to that song.
Right.
If I'm in the mood for Ghosts, I listen to one. Like if I'm in the mood for that type of music, there are other No Means No music that I go to first.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. All right, Michelle, how about you?
Well, I want to say something, Parker. I see what's behind you, and that is a bass guitar.
And a normal guitar.
And that's
normal.
right. You guys got
both.
a lot of axes in your house. But I think, Parker, if you learn those arpeggios Rob's playing and just use that as kind of like a meditation kind of thing like we've talked about, I think you'd dig it. I know he's just playing two separate arpeggios, but I think you would, if you focus on like how he's playing it, what he's playing, and I think maybe you would dig it more.
And that's what Ghosts of Time is. That's why I think, in a certain sense, I think maybe the band feels slightly similar to you, Parker, in that in Ghosts of Time, which John told us when we were sitting around the campfire with him was his favorite version of that song, they stripped everything out and just had that part, almost no lyrics, and just that
campfire,
fucking
man. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Michelle. Sorry.
There's no. I'm interrupting too.
It's your turn.
Passionate songs. All right, Madness and Death. How kookily cool is this one? The beginning is so angular and menacing, and then it goes into some catchy, funky parts that borrow the nursery rhyme angle they are known to use. Right? Plenty of songs they do that. There's a bunch of fun parts in this, and holy hell is this song constructed really well. I can't tell if Rob is doubling up his vocals on this, but I'm guessing maybe not, as John has strong vocal capabilities, and maybe he's doing the low end on this one. Most of the time it does sound like Rob's doubling up, though I really can't tell who's doing the doubling up. I want to know who's playing guitar on this. Here's another one. Who's playing guitar on this?
Well, it's Rob. Rob was the one who did guitar.
Is Rob's playing the guitar?
Unless it's John on keyboard doing a solo.
Well, I don't know, but it's awesome. It really sounds fucking fantastic. And I thought maybe Andy was, but maybe it's not.
No,
how this song leads into Happy Bridge? Come on.
Yeah.
Is that like a pants pooper? Yeah, yeah. It's sick as hell, and whoever's responsible for that needs an award. This is a very cool piece filled with tons of talent and plenty of attitude. All right, Ghosts. It's been said before, but I'll repeat it. The very beginning of this song, this music does something to me. It's some of the most favorite music they ever wrote. It's just that drum shuffle combined with that angry guitar bass tumor. It sounds like a tumor. And I think I said that last time. It's just so condensed. And I don't know what they're playing. I don't know what Rob is playing, but I can kind of hear what Andy's doing, but what Rob's playing, this song is just genius. It's epic and it's hard. Like I said, I can't tell what Rob's playing, but it sounds astounding to me. I always used to get bummed when it stopped and the arpeggios started. It took me years to get over it, and when I did accept the bulk of it, Ghost is when I did accept the bulk of Ghost is when the magic happened. Can you see the fucking fog? Can you see the dude in the alleyway? The sort of low mumbling lines Rob is being all matter of fact about. This song is the shit. You think you have time, you have no time. And of course, that ended up on the Ghosts of Time redo, which is great when John sings that too, right? I'm a humongous fan of the Ghosts of Time song. I really love how Rob sounds like he's in an alleyway. It's all filled with words of wisdom, warnings, and foresight. That you stand in line, you have your place, that in the space of moments fall from again and again and again. And the guitars, like you said, Jordan,
So
the guitar.
Yeah, so good.
How the guitar follows the vocal delivery of that is so cool to me. Other lyrics I like are, what is this? A memory is a loaded gun. And I remember everyone.
I
And then, okay, is this a Canada thing? You're clean, strong, and free, like you always wanted to be.
Yeah.
Isn't strong?
Maybe.
Yeah, you're clean, strong, and free, like you always wanted to be. You're alone. You're alone. You're alone. There's no one there. The ghosty keyboard part. What is that? Is that a keyboard? Again, I don't know, but it's seriously cool. Is it an effects pedal? It's necessary for this song to have that in there. I love it, and the song is sandwiched in front of that beginning and that ending that I absolutely love. The song is epic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, you're up.
Quite different songs. Yeah. Only 3 years apart, or 2 years apart, I guess. But yeah, Madness and Death seems super duper tight and lean. A lot of contrast, as you would expect in a No Means No song. Ghosts, it has surprised me how much I've learned about it, how little they actually think of it. Like Andy didn't really care for it. It is assembled of bits and pieces. I can sort of see in retrospect how that is. But I absolutely love the structure. I've talked before about what a meaningful song it is for me in terms of it really helped me deal with grief after my dad passed and everything like that. They are both in terms of lyrics. I think Madness and Death is yet another one where I think Slade is singing the song.
Yeah,
telling you kind of how things are. Ghosts for me is really it is a song about grief. It is a song about emptiness, and it is a song about loss, and it is the acknowledgement of an other, and it is a place where you are not and you will not be until you are. And there's that that separation is complete and yet incomplete.
right.
So it is for me in terms of the performance. Ghost is one of the most one of the songs where I think they're the most in tune with each other. Rob is so powerful, and then Andy is meandering. All of the work he does in terms of the music follows the lyrics, but then what Andy is doing is almost like kind of the glue that holds it together. It's so so perfect and so haunting. For me, it's one of the most one of their most synesthetic songs. One of their most descriptive. That takes me into an environment like these huge vaulted arches, inhabited by ghosts. That you may get some sense of, but you can't really focus on or make any sense of. Really, it's just sort of there. And in terms of the music and the lyrics, what Andy is doing, creating that texture, creating that environment, just chuckling, muttering, just these little unquiet ghosts. It is so very well matched to the lyrics.
Yep.
Madness and Death, I think the music and lyrics are also super well matched. I mean, rhythmically, there's a mix of Sprechgesang and singing, not as much singing, but in terms of highlights, I really like the danciness of Madness and Death. The bass lines are incredible. There's a straight up disco part, which is so much fun. Given I'd like the contrast of it is a more fun song, but then it is about dark and you might say you're never going to make sense of it, so you might as well just shake your butt. One of my favorite things, of course, is the rest. There's there's like little periods of complete silence. I absolutely love that about it.
So rare and no means no, but it's great.
And they do it so perfectly.
Well, when they stop, they stop.
On a dime.
Yep.
Ghosts, some of the highlights. The lyrics are some of my absolute favorites. It as I said, helped me process grief, and still helps me to this day. The gabbling, the chuckling, the muttering of the guitar is just I can't even believe that it's done with a guitar. It is so. I wonder how much he was repeated in terms of like what he's doing at any one time, or just it was sort of a improvisational each time it was done.
Yeah.
Feels like such a response in the moment, right? There's something so present about it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's really just sort of the channeling of restless spirits. I really like in terms of the drumming. John does such an incredible job of changing the emphasis. He's playing on the snare, but just he's hitting on the right or the left, and you can sort of, if you're a drummer, you kind of understand like how much work he's doing in terms of ending or beginning on a particular hand, and it changes through the. I don't know. I guess it's sort of indicative of your. Makes me feel like the inconsistency. It is consistent and predictable, but different each time. And again, sort of connecting to the lyrical content and the general feel of the song, how changeable yet predictable grief can be. And maybe it's me putting my personal stuff into it, but I do think it is a song that can really inform the experience of grief, where there is a boundary, very, very hard boundary, where you are not able to get onto the other side of it, and yet part of it is still drifting back. There's still sort of a diaphanous curtain of feeling that is still back and interacting with where it came from. And it's a favorite of mine. It's very, very difficult to think any differently. Lowlights, I guess, Madness and Death. Just I guess my criticism of both of these songs, it's not a criticism at all. It's that I love actually when songs and albums are of a whole, and so it's difficult to listen to Madness and Death without what's on either end of it. So it's difficult to stand on its own, while Ghosts can stand on its own a little bit better because Joyful Reunion comes after it, and it also means a lot to me in terms of again, very, very personal connection of processing your grief and everything like that. It's I want to hear Joyful Reunion after Ghosts, and so again, it's difficult to listen to it in isolation. So I guess that's really my only criticism, or not really criticism. But yeah,
A longing.
yeah. And another highlight is just how it, goes. There's a part where it just peters out. It's super super quiet and slow, and then it just right back into that pounding.
Yes.
And again, the experience of grief. It's you feel like you're okay until you're totally fucking not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
All right, round two. First, just some thoughts. Thinking about ghosts, I think almost more than any other No Means No song, this song captures a sense of loneliness in the sense of where it puts me more than any other song. More than I Am Lonely, or I guess just Lonely. There's something about the production and the way that they all perform, but not just because of the sort of ghosty, spacey stuff. It's also the way Rob's mic is too hot and blown out. Why are you scared? And it's like blown out. It's so hot that you could almost say it's bad production, but it's not. It seems intentional,
no.
but it's intentional. And that to me is so, there's something like yelling, and it's not, it's like makes me feel like yelling into an echoey space more than if you turned on echo on the vocals.
Right.
It feels more lonely to me. And Andy's,
and then he gets all close to
exactly. And everything about it is just perfectly engineered and very layered. There's a lot of production in this song, more than many of the songs on this album, actually. That really generates a sense of loneliness in a very deep way, in that sense of grief, for others and grief for myself and what it makes me see about myself. So yeah, I think I have much more appreciation for this song than I used to. And, that may or may not happen for you someday, Parker. We'll see. But I used to be one of the ones that I didn't really love that much. I don't think, and as you've said, I don't think
too.
Andy loves it. I don't think the other members of the band really love it, or at least not all of it in the way that it came out. But
I hereby hope for you, Parker, that it does not take the death of your father to cause your appreciation for it.
Oh, God!
You goddamn morose son of a bitch. Now, in terms of representativeness, I think they're both very representative in their own ways. I think Ghost is very representative in the way that, again, very holistically from the Andy period, how each of them can so delicately, directly, subtly inform my feeling from a song and the meaning of a song from each of their performances, and they each give it perfectly. The vocal performance, the way the lyrics are delivered, what the lyrics are saying, Andy's playfulness and dreariness and moroseness and gorgeousness behind and response to the lyrics. He's not just playing under them, he's doing a call and response with Rob.
He is.
And the way that John is doing that shuffling beat, but then when he gets into the think you have time, it's just a driving, like everything about it is it's one of those perfect holographic songs where every part of it is playing perfectly to what it's meant to do. And that to me is the pinnacle of No Means No. And it is what is accomplished in later periods, but kind of never in the same way as it was with Andy, because Tom is great, but I don't think he ever had that. He never had the ability that Andy had to really be a full character in a song that added an infinite layer of depth.
Marinade and sprinkles.
And so I think Ghost is very representative in that way. I don't think it's very representative of, speaking of multiple things at once, of our experience of something very human, grief, and using that to reflect on one's own nature. It's not just, for me, it's not just about grief. It's about what that grief shows me, makes me question about my own being, about what it means to be a being now. What does that mean? I think I have time in the face of death. I have no time. What am I? And Rob is very adept at turning the human experience back to that question. What am I?
Yeah.
And leaving that question resonating. In this song, it resonates into an empty chamber that just echoes forever. And it leaves me feeling lonely, vulnerable, and beautiful. It's amazing. So I think it's very evocative and very representative. And I think Madness and Death is also very representative. It's very Rob. I think it's the way that, Matthew and Parker, you both talked about this, how it's so fucking fun and it's so tight and there's so many time changes, and yet the time changes don't feel breakneck. They don't feel like, oh, I'm going from one part to another. They all fucking work holistically together. Right. And yet there's this great dancey, heavy song with these really dark lyrics underneath it, right? Like unless you're listening to it, you're like, wait a minute. I remember it's an anecdote of one of my friends in college who used to think I was like, I was never a dark person. I was always a very like up kind of happy person. And then he saw my drawings, which were very dark. He's like, what the fuck is going on with you? Then I played him No Means No. He was a jazz musician. And he's like, what the fuck is on with you, man? Seriously, this music? So I made him listen to Happy Bridge because I loved Happy Bridge.
Scared him,
like,
man.
I was like, dude, you're a jazz musician. Listen to Happy Bridge. He's like, I love that. And then I listened to the next song, Madness Death. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Nothing.
come on, this song is awesome.
Wait,
Anyway.
Happy Bridge comes before Menace, though.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I made him listen. No, this is why. I made him
Whoa.
listen.
No,
I made him listen. I made him listen. I'm misrepresenting the story. I made him listen to Machine because Machine was very much in line with the lyrics. The lyrics were very much in line with a show we were doing together, a play we were in together. And then he listened to Madness and Death and then Happy Bridge after that. Anyway, that's a digression. So I also think Madness and Death is also very, thank you, is also very much representative of No Means No. I think Rob gives great Sprechgesang, which I can never say correctly, so forgive me, Germans and Matthew. So incredibly representative. In terms of where these things fit in their oeuvre, Madness and Death, and Matthew, you talked about this. I know, Parker, you and I have talked about this at length. I think we've given, to some degree, short shrift to a lot of these Madness and Death songs, and that's because for me, mostly this Mr. Happy. Sorry, thank you. That's how deep I am into these whiskeys. This album, Mr. Happy, is such a singular piece. It all works together. It is much harder for me to pick out and lionize an individual song because they all are such a singular piece of music together for me.
With
Ghosts is not
distinct
that.
exception.
Ghosts feels like totally different on the back half of that album. The back half of 0+2 is much different than the first half. We've talked to Andy privately in depth about how the sequencing on that was all over the map. They had argued about what was going to be on that. I think Wound was never going to heal, and I Need You were really in the mix as being on that album. So it was like that album could have been a bunch of different things. And Ghosts is like, well, all right. I mean, it's beautiful, but it does stand more on its own. Although I do really also, like you, Matthew, need it to be followed up by Joyful Reunion. But Madness and Death exists as a connected to what's before and what's after in a way that's much deeper. So, but that's also very representative of their oeuvre. So I think it's in a sense very representative in that way. Are they both important? Yes. Ghosts often gets the short shrift by people. I think it shouldn't. And I'm not talking about you here, Parker. I'm talking about the community as a whole. Ghosts is often kind of kicked to the curb. Madness and Death, I don't hear many people talking about it. So these are two songs that I don't think get lionized as much as they should. I think they're both brilliant. I would like to see both of them get their renaissance as needed. Newbie material? No, neither of these are newbie material for me. I think they're both too challenging. I think they're both beautiful. Mr. Happy's maybe a newbie album, and so this song could be on that as an album, maybe. But I wouldn't recommend either of these as. I mean, neither of these would ever occur to me as songs that I would play for someone on a first pass.
Not on the first date.
No. All right, Parker, how about you? Round two.
Yeah. So me then Burger? Or round two?
No, Parker's. I was first, then Parker, then Michelle, and then you. You were last.
Okay, sorry.
Right, yep. No, that's right.
I'm definitely like... Ghosts is certainly a song that I don't think I've digested enough. It's certainly the song... Honestly, the second half of 0+2, like, I really love that album, but I've listened to the second half, like, post-Mary, so much less than the first half. Listen to the first half just endlessly.
Exhausts you. Yeah.
But... Yeah, in terms of like representative, I think they're kind of weird to me in the ways in which they're representative. Ghosts, I mentioned this before, the comparison to One, and that's kind of just mostly a vibes thing, but like this feels representative of No Means No, but not that era of No Means No. Like it doesn't feel representative of like a lot of the like Andy era music.
Which maybe is why he didn't like it as much. I don't know. It could be.
Like, there's just that like... tonal thing that sort of dive into this more sort of desolate, sort of vulnerable sort of tone that just wasn't as present at that period.
Vulnerable.
That became
that's a good word.
almost dominant later on.
No, I can see it has a lot in common with Lost, I think.
Yeah.
The like I think Madison Death is quite representative of No Means No's as a band, especially a lot of their strengths musically. So with the crazy rhythmic stuff going on, the way the rhythm sort of mirrors and pairs with like the guitar rhythms in those melodies and stuff is very, very No Means No. The sort of poetic spoken vocals. There's a lot of like quintessentially No Means No things that are very present in Madison Death. It is definitely a song. It like it's sort of in the same class as like Land of the Living for me, in the song that I fucking love so much that is hard to be like that I consider a masterpiece because it's part of Mr. Happy. Like
Uh-huh.
Right.
the relationship it has to the greater work as a whole is so much a part of what gives that song like meaning and stuff. In terms of like introducing people, I don't think I'd introduce Ghosts to anyone. It's too much. It's too it's a very raw emotional song, and it feels like you have to know someone pretty well to be like, this is a song you'll enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
And Madison Death, I actually think I would, specifically if someone was like into more like sort of who like enjoyed hardcore music to some extent, but was into like sort of jazzier stuff and maybe
sure.
into like sort
Proggy
of
stuff,
mathy
maybe.
kind of thing. I think as like it's a fun song that has a lot of musical complexity sort of buried in that. And so I think there are certain people to it could be a good inroad. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have to say.
Nice. All right, Michelle, how about you? Round two.
Round 2, my favorite round. I'm just kidding. Are these representative? Both definitely are. The songwriting and composition of each of these is top shelf. There's loads of attitude in these with heavy and appropriate, I put in quotes, appropriate lyrics to match. Perfect examples of their talent and both a delight to bask in. That's all I did with that section. All right. Okay. Would I play Madness and Death? Yeah, just like Parker said, I think I would. Not as a sit down and listen to this piece, but it's fun, it's fast, it's interesting, and there are no rules for the listener in hearing it. Ghost, I wouldn't dare play this for anybody until they fucking earned the right to hear it. it's so intense, hard, and
This is not for
strangely
you.
suited. Yeah. You haven't passed through enough gates yet. It's so intense, hard, and strangely soothing, and a life lesson. You got to be in the right mind space for this one, and like I said, it's an earned experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, round 2.
Yeah. Madness and Death, I'd say, thematically very No Means No, of course. You kind of just give into the chaos, but you're not going to get where you want to go. And in some ways, Ghost is kind of the same way. You just might as well give up because, you just something's going to happen to you, and you're not going to have any control over it.
Right.
As I mentioned, Ghost is extremely synesthetic for me and meaningful, but I would say they are representative in different ways. In that, Ghost is both of them kind of conjure up stuff, but I think Madness and Death is more sort of within, and Ghost is maybe more without. Madness and Death is really, really
I like that.
butt shaking. It's fun. It's a little bit dancier. It's a little bit meatier and visceral. Whereas Ghost is desolate.
Yep.
There's hope in it, but there's also just sort of acceptance and
fucking fog in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mist.
There is.
Yeah. Possibly. Lichen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mossy walls.
As they are in the overall body work of No Means No, I would say that I think some other folks have said similar things in that Madness and Death is a fantastic song. It is, anchored on either end by other songs, but it's a fantastic fucking song, but it gets a little lost in the other fantastic songs that it's in with. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit difficult to it doesn't speak for itself as much as it maybe could, but not from its own fault, but just because of the company it keeps.
That's cool.
I think Ghost is important, and yeah, it is different as it is. I think both of those albums are maybe the most thematically, they hang together the best.
Yeah,
as whole albums, 0 plus equals 1, and then Mr. Happy, I would say. But I think Ghosts is it's good where it is. I mean, the album leads to it, and it is good penultimately where it is. It leaves a lot of questions. It's a very empty song, and then it is filled in with a lot of certainty by a Joyful Reunion.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of what I love about it, and that's why I think it's such an amazing 1-2 punch. It's difficult to exist on its own. It's difficult to exist. As for whether I would introduce a newbie, I would say Ghost, probably not, because it is desolate. You really have to pay attention to it, and it is hard. It's a lot of work to find the parts that aren't scary.
Be a good makeout song, wouldn't it? Be a good makeout
yeah, fantastic.
song?
Yeah, just like park it. No, absolutely. Park in a dark place, and then
play
get
some
out
tonsil
your
hockey.
Ouija board. Madness and Death, because it's so. I think it maybe is a little more. It's it's fun and catchy and maybe a little cheeky, not musically overly challenging in that it is catchy, it is kind of butt shaking, like once you pay attention to the lyrics it may be a little deeper, but there is that entry level where I think it maybe is a little more accessible, so maybe I would be more inclined to introduce a newbie to No Means No with Madness and Death than Ghosts, despite the fact that I love Ghosts so much.
It's interesting in what you say about Madness and Death and what everyone has said about the newbie factor. Unlike most No Means No songs with newbies, Madness and Death would not be one I'd be upset about putting on in the background if someone didn't pay attention. Like I'd still think they'd like it. I'd be happy to have it on, but I wouldn't feel irritated if they started talking about something else. Whereas with many No Means No songs, I'd be like, no, shut the fuck up. I'm playing
You can't
this
do
song.
that to yourself.
This is not you and I talking right now. This is you listening to this music. And there are songs where I've been in that position where I've just
needle
been like,
in the groove.
Exactly. There have been so many times I played music for these songs for people, and I'd be like, shut up.
You're
shut
that guy.
up. But with this song, I'm like, nah, put it on. It's a party song. So in that sense, it is a good newbie song.
Oh my god.
Well, fuck, we got to vote. This one's not easy for me.
Really?
No. Because I love them both. I will say where I'm placing my vote is where these songs have grown for me. Madness and Death, I've liked from the beginning. I've liked Mr. Happy from the beginning. First spin, fucking top tier for me. And Madness and Death, I always loved it. My feelings about that song have not changed. I don't think. I can't really think that they've really deepened or changed. It's not a bad thing because it hit me really straight on right up front.
Right.
Ghosts has really changed. I did not love this song originally.
Me neither.
And I love it now. I think it's fucking magic. I think the mood it sets, where it puts me, everything about it, and the 1-2 punch, very much Matthew of it going into Joyful Reunion. I think the band underrates this song. Frankly, I think everybody underrates this song. I think for me, I've really found tremendous volumes in this that I never heard before in its subtlety. So it's Ghosts for me. It's my vote. Parker, how about you?
Yeah, I am just eternally biased towards Mr. Happy.
Yeah.
I feel like there are very few songs that I think pretty much any song on Mr. Happy I wouldn't like put over. So yeah, it's Madness and Death for sure. I I do think it's absolutely possible that Ghosts will grow on me, because like I mentioned one before, but the song that it reminds me most of is "World Wasn't Built in a Day," which is one of my absolute favorite No Means No songs.
Yeah.
For a lot of the reasons that you all seem to like Ghosts. There's that like feeling
Yeah.
of desolation and whatnot.
I think wasn't built in a day does it better than Ghosts. I'll say that. Like I think Rob fell so deep in the pocket, no one else could fall that deep ever. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, one and one. Michelle.
Don't ever want to ghost anybody ever.
So
But that is my vote.
Your Team Ghost.
Yes, I'm Team Ghost.
Matthew.
With the most.
Yeah, hands down. Ghosts.
Ghosts. Oh, well, at least it's not unanimous. I'm glad that Parker pulled out the vote for. Yeah. I do feel like
it would take a pretty
it would take
stellar song
a lot
for
to
me
kick
to
off Ghost for you. Well, we'll see. We'll see what that stellar song might be when it comes up to round 3.
Do we have to?
It's so interesting because people have done comparisons, and we really have given short shrift to most of Mr. Happy, and yet it still remains one of my top albums. I think it's for that reason that it exists as an album, not as songs for me, other than The River, which we won't even talk about. But it exists as an album, and it's hard for any of those songs to. Anyway, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, man. 2.5 hours we're into this fucker.
Oh my God.
So we may not record often, but when we do,
making up for it.
we give you 6 weeks worth of listening time because no one can get through 2.5 hours at once.
Well,
Teddy's had 7 walks in the meantime.
Hopefully we have immunity.
I think so.
Having had COVID and stuff.
No one's mad at us.
Yeah.
So Heaven is the Dust Beneath My Shoes has ascended to heaven, rightfully so, while Rise has fallen.
Oh.
Madness and Death, unfortunately, has been stuck in the asylum, while Ghosts will live to fight Scooby-Doo another day. So we've
climbed the long climb into thin air.
It is into thin air.
Oh.
It has withstood the test of time, if you will. Okay, enough puns. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, No Means No Thing is produced and edited by yours truly, Jordon Flato. Co-hosting and podcast graphics are by the excellent Matthew Kowalik. If you're not giving him props for these graphics, what the fuck are you doing?
Shame on
Come
you.
to our Facebook page and look at them. They're amazing.
Yep.
Michelle Strangers is our third and everyone's favorite, especially Andy's co-host and official Foley artist. Shout out to our official mascot, Teddy. Thank you to No Means No for the use of stock taking as our intro and outro music. This wound will never heal. Nothing can matter less than what I do. What I feel.
And let's thank Mr. Parker
And Parker,
joining
thank you
us
for being
tonight.
on here, man.
Jesus Christ.
Just gonna save it for
Parker,
the end,
you
but yeah.
rock, man. That was fun.
Yeah, man. I hope you'll come back. That was great. That was
Yeah.
I
super
would
fun.
love to. Yeah.
Come
Excellent.
back.
Yeah, we'll have you back.
You do your homework.
If I can find you, if I can, figure out where you're at, then we'll
Yeah.
stupid jokes. He's right next door. All right, folks, we're in that special period at the end. And yeah, special thanks to Parker. This was a special thrill to me to get to have Parker on.
Should be a proud papa.
I feel super lucky having someone in my house that, as you two can see, will go really in depth on No Means No.
That's right.
And
That's
nerd
cool.
out in the way that few fans will. So it's fucking great. I feel super lucky on that front. All right, so here's where we pick. So Parker, I'm going to post in the Facebook chat what the next songs for next week are. You are not to say them out loud, but you can react to them however you want.
All right.
We
With
only
the
post
Facebook chat.
No, the
Oops.
Zoom chat.
Zoom chat.
I'm not on
Zoom
Facebook.
chat. Sorry, Zoom.
Remember when I had a bunch of beer and blurted it out?
No.
You had to beat me?
No, we don't remember that.
Shut up.
All right, so that's an interesting one.
Oh, wait, I don't see it.
That's a fun one, actually. I think.
Yeah, it is a fun one.
Wait, I can't see.
Go to the chat, man. Okay. Whew. Nothing's making me panic, but everything's making me feel like this will be a fun one to do. Okay, here's round 2.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I want my sphincter invited to this.
Break out your googly eyes.
That second one's kind of tough.
It is kind of tough. Well, actually, no, it's not for me. It's got one song that I
that's
always would be bottom.
Oh
of the
man,
barrel.
that second one
I think I'm probably
kills.
on the same pages as you about that.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Oh, I love
find
the
you.
second one.
That's great. It's going to be fun, guys. And you know what? I don't know, no promises, but it's summertime. I certainly don't have as many obligations as I normally do. So hopefully we'll get back into a regular cadence. No promises.
Yeah. I'm
But
back
our
into
hope is-
catio building. So yeah, I'll have a lot of control over my time.
Yep, great. Yeah. So that's our hope, is that we're going to have some summer fun and give you some summer fun before winter and fall comes and everything falls apart again. So there we go. We love you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Oh, and before I forget, fuck off.
God, Jesus Christ. That's just